3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to a Thursday edition, a March Madness edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. We have the number as always, 888-710-4ISN. That's 888-710-4476. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. March is here. The first four is no more. We are now into the real start of the NCAA Tournament. This is one of my favorite days of the year because, quite frankly, there's a lot that we don't know what is going to happen. And I always love this time of March because there's so many people right now that we've never talked about, we've never heard about, and they will be on this show today, tomorrow, next week, and they will be thrown right into the spotlight. And I've done this for a while now. I will never forget being on the air when I did the overnights, and I remember being on the night that you had UMBC become the first 16 seed to ever defeat a 1, right? And I remember talking to Tobin Anderson after Fairleigh Dickinson found a way to beat Purdue. Years ago, when you had, I think it was Old Dominion who beat Ohio State, or Oral Roberts. It was unbelievable. And you had Max Asmus, who was phenomenal. So there has been great storylines. Porter Moser with Loyola Chicago. You go back to Jim Larinaga all those years ago for George Mason, with them getting to the Final Four. Butler, remember them going to the national championship game. Brad Stevens and Gordon Hayward missing that shot from half court that just missed, which would have been the greatest NCAA tournament shot that I've ever seen. And obviously, I was able to see Chris Jenkins and all that stuff too. And you have the Christian Laettner moment. So today's just such a special day because there's so many teams and there's so many people that aren't on people's radar and we don't really know about them. And boom, they become rock stars. They become sensations overnight. So I look at the NCAA tournament and we've had 2 games through. And so far, it hasn't been anything where you've seen any crazy upsets. Creighton as a 9 seed beat Louisville. I thought Creighton was going to win. I didn't think it was going to be by this wide of a margin as they ended up winning 89-75. But that's what happens when you have Jemiah Neal have a career day, 29 points. You have Kalkbrenner, Stephen Ashworth. And you look at that Creighton team, that would be the first thing that this is the first take of the NCAA tournament that I have in the first game. Is Creighton beat Louisville. I love Pat Kelsey. I thought Pat Kelsey acted like a child at the end of the game. All right, you get the technical foul. That's one thing. There was no reason to lunge at the official. I think that was more so just frustration because you knew that your team's great season was coming to an end. And then some dope in the stands who was a fan, he threw a water bottle on the court and it delayed the game for 2 minutes. But Creighton, to me, could potentially pull off the first major upset, and I'm already advancing to the second round. And that's without knowing the other mayhem that's going to go down today. Maybe a 14 seed wins. Maybe, I know High Point lost today, but maybe have a 13 seed wins. We've seen crazy things happen, right? I've seen Princeton as a 15 seed beat Arizona as a 2 seed. So we've seen some magical things happen over the last few years. But with all that being said, I look at Creighton, and that's the first team I circled now, and I go, maybe I didn't have them going far enough in the NCAA tournament. And the reason I say that is because I don't like the way that Auburn has been playing. You asked me a month and a half ago, who's going to the championship game, I would have told you Auburn and Duke. Now, when I made my bracket selections the other day, I ended up going Duke, Florida in the Natty, Duke winning it all. But I look at Auburn, they've lost 3 out of the last 4 games. I love Bruce Pearl. I hope Bruce Pearl goes as far as possible this year because he's a coach that deserves to win a national championship. And I know they're playing right now Auburn, Alabama State. And no, I'm not anticipating this to be a FDU story. I'm not anticipating this to be a UMBC story as well. I am looking at Auburn, and I think they're going to win this game, right? As a 1 seed over 16, and they're right now up 12-5. But I look at the second round, that's going to be a massive test for Auburn. Because Creighton's through, Auburn wins, Auburn goes up against Creighton. You could see a number 1 seed fall on Saturday. You could definitely see it. So this game for me that Auburn's in right now, I don't put much stock in it. They're going to win the game. And I know that now you have to hesitate when you say that a little bit because we've seen 2 16 seeds beat a 1 seed in the history of the NCAA tournament, and both of those happen fairly recently. But the first big test, in my opinion, for one of these number 1 seeds is going to be in the second round when Creighton goes up against Auburn. I look at the road for Houston. I look at the road for Duke. if both of those schools aren't in the Final Four, I would be disappointed because I don't think their road and their path, and ironically, you would think, oh, Auburn has the easiest path, right? They're the number 1 overall seed. That's just not the draw of the bracket this year. Like, who is going to really challenge Duke when you take a glance at that bracket and that region? You know, is it Alabama? Definitely a possibility. You know, I don't think it's going to be Baylor. I don't think it's going to be Oregon, Arizona. You know, is it a BYU? Is it Wisconsin? I look at that road and some of the better teams there. You know, Duke's really biggest challenge to get to a Final Four could be going up against Alabama. So if Duke is not in the Final Four, you know, it's weird to say you'd be shocked because it's the NCAA tournament, but I'd be really disappointed. And the same is for Houston. You know, I look at Houston. Kelvin Sampson is a magnificent coach, and he's done a wonderful job with the Cougars. But we're talking about who could be their toughest matchup, and people are saying it's Gonzaga in the round of 32. Well, Gonzaga's got to beat Georgia first, and that's no gimme in an 8-9 game. You know, can Illinois go on a run with Casper? You know, I guess it's possible. Kentucky, what are they going to look like first year in the NCAA tournament with Mark Pope? You know, Rick Barnes, you know, guy's been around forever. It's been a long time since he's had big-time success in the NCAA tournament. So I look at Duke and Houston as 2 number 1 seeds. They are expected to get to the Final Four. You know, I look at Florida, and you look at the road for Florida. Okay, there could be a little uncomfortable feeling if you face UConn in the second round, just because even though UConn is not a strong UConn team this year, until the champs are out, and if Hurley wins 1 game, and if UConn takes care of Porter Moser and Oklahoma, well, then they're playing with house money. Like, UConn is playing with house money in this tourney after winning back-to-back titles, and no one's actually expecting much out of them. So can UConn find a way to pull off an upset against Florida that no one would see coming? Yeah, I don't think it's impossible. But, like, at least in that region for Florida, you got UConn. You got Maryland. You know, you take a glance. You got Kansas and Arkansas. St. John's, too. And the Johnnies won their first ever Big East Conference Tournament championship since 2000. So I look, though, Florida, the way they're playing, they're the hottest team in the country right now. I even though it wouldn't shock me if UConn could find a way to get it done, you know, I do think Florida is not only going to the Final Four, I think Florida is going to the national championship game, or I have them losing to Duke. So I look at the start of this tournament and the number 1 seeds. You know, I don't think that we'll have really a big early test for Duke or Houston. And they have the easiest roads out of all the number 1 seeds. But you look at, you know, I'm not going to pick against Florida right now early, especially with the way that they've been playing and winning the SEC tournament, where, quite frankly, even in the championship game, they didn't play their best brand of basketball, and they still found a way to win with these. But I look at Auburn, where they're trending, and I know they're up right now with 14:57 to go in the first half, up against Alabama State 12-5. And, you know, I'll shake my boots on that one when we get down to the final 3 or 4 minutes and the game's close. And I expect Auburn to wipe the floor pretty damn good here, especially with their guards, who Bruce Pearl told everyone aren't putty cats. But Auburn all of a sudden is going to get put on upset alert in the round of 32 on Saturday, because if Creighton shoots the ball the way that they did today, a team with a lot of experience, with McDermott as their head coach, who is a very underrated coach, you know, Kalkbrenner, who's been there 4,000 years at Creighton, Ashworth, who's like also, 23, 24, and you have the transfer that comes over in Neal, and he has a career day in the NCAA tournament. Like, that's a team I don't think they're going to play with fear. Now, it doesn't mean Auburn can't beat them, but that's going to be the first moment when you look at this tournament that I could see potentially coming. I know there's going to be other moments today to open it up where you're like, wow, I didn't see that in a million years, but that's something that does jump off the bracket to me, where I did have Auburn going to the Elite Eight, where now I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't even know if they're going to get out of the round of 32. So let's do this, though, as we got all the games going on right now. Purdue, it was a little bit close, but they ended up winning the game 75-63 over High Point. I know High Point started to become a trendy upset pick. I had them in my bracket. You have Creighton, who took care of business up against Louisville, 89-75. And the game's going on in action right now. You know, I can't do play-by-play, so I won't do play-by-play, so I'll just tell you the scores. Wisconsin is up on Montana 72-57 with 7:47 to go in half number 2. SIU Edwardsville is getting blown out by Houston. Second half just underway. The Cougars are up 54-26. As we mentioned, Auburn up 15-8 up against Alabama State with 14 minutes to go. And still to tip off, you have Clemson McNeese, you have VCU BYU, Georgia Gonzaga, Wofford Tennessee, Arkansas Kansas. Good coaching matchup there with Calipari and Self. You have Yale and Texas A&M, Drake and Missouri, Utah State, UCLA, the Johnnies and Omaha. You have UC San Diego, Michigan, and Texas Tech, UNC Wilmington. That's day number 1 of the NCAA tournament. Let's just address this right now since the tourney's still fresh and we're only 2 games in. Who's the coach that has the most to gain in this tournament, and who's the coach that has the most to lose? Now, my answer for most to gain, I think, will surprise some people. But the way you ask this is very ambiguous because you could do it for one run, or it could end up being in a legacy question. Like Rick Pitino right now, without question, is the top 5 coach in the history of college basketball. Not just this season, in the history of college basketball, right? We know he took Providence to a Final Four, and that's not where his resume really starts if you're talking about the praise, but that is something of significance. You also then look at where he's won. I know the NCAA will not acknowledge it, but he won a national championship at Louisville, and obviously he won a national championship at Kentucky. So winning 2 national championships at 2 different schools is already a remarkable conversation. And I know you could mention John Wooden, you could mention Coach K, right? You could go through Dean Smith, Adolph Rupp, Roy Williams, all the legendary coaches that you know. But if you're doing a top 5 list already of all time in the history of the NCAA for college basketball, Pitino's in your top 5 list. Now, if he wins a national championship this year at St. John's, year 2, right? It's already remarkable what he's done. Big East Coach of the Year, has the most improved player of the year, has the Big East Player of the Year, won the regular season title and the conference tournament, right? We're already singing the praises of Rick Pitino, and what he's done is already magnificent. And it feels like it should be unbelievable, but knowing who Pitino is, it's not unbelievable. But if he's able to win a national championship in a program that I'm a New Yorker, right? I live here in the city. In my lifetime, St. John's has pretty much been irrelevant. And this was a program that has lost their way. They had no direction. And Rick Pitino was supposed to be the savior. And last year they got screwed out of making the NCAA tournament. And this year they're back with a vengeance. And they are they're a number 2 overall seed. So if Pitino this year can win a national championship at St. John's, it's one of the unbelievable turnaround stories we've ever seen. But in terms of his legacy, and I know, right, the 7 straight championships that Wooden won, right? We all know the titles that he won. We all know the wins and the titles that Coach K has won. We all know what Dean Smith did. I don't know how you could say that in the history of college basketball, there wouldn't be a more impressive coach than Rick Pitino. Not the most titles, but he would have 3 national championships at 3 different schools if he's able to win one this year. 1 at Kentucky, 1 at Louisville, and then it would be 1 at St. John's. So for Rick Pitino and having this great success everywhere he goes and also taking Providence to a Final Four, I don't know how you would have a more impressive resume. Because it's not all just at one school where you just win the most amount of titles, and that's still unbelievably ridiculous. But we're talking about a guy that has already, been to 7 Final Fours, has won 2 national championships. If he could find a way to win a 3rd national championship and go to an 8th Final Four, right, and win the Natty, I think he'd be the most impressive college basketball coach of all time. With what he's been able to do at the multitude of stops, it would be unbelievable to win 3 national championships at 3 different schools. So I actually think in a weird way, even though Pitino's already a top 5 coach of all time, he is the coach that I have that has the most to gain in this NCAA tournament because of that legacy conversation. Samter, who is your coach, by the way, in this NCAA tournament that has the most to gain?
So I am going to have sort of a very synergistic connection between my most to gain and most to lose. So for me, most to gain is...
Well, don't give me most to lose. Just give me most to gain.
I'm not going to give it to you yet. You'll see it later. But for me, it's Mark Pope with Kentucky.
Ooh.
Right? First year there, trying to fill in the shoes of Mr. John Calipari, trying to prove that he belongs there, trying to prove that he can win at Kentucky and follow the legend. Because we've always seen the guy who follows the guy never does well.
By the way, I hate that saying.
Yeah.
I hate it. I know that it's usually proven to be true, that if you follow a legend, you usually fail, and then the next guy ends up succeeding. But to me, if you're a great coach, you should be ready for that moment. It's not easy, but you should be ready for that moment, take it, and go kick ass. That's what I would say.
I don't disagree with you, which is why I think he has the most to gain, because if he is one and done or gets knocked out in the second round, people are going to say, oh, all right, maybe this guy isn't ready for it. So,
but you know
Mark
why
Pope to me
I
has a lot to
struggle with
gain.
that, though? I struggle with that because Calipari just lost to Oakland last year. So if let's say Kentucky loses early in the NCAA tournament, I think that there's already people that right now they question the Mark Pope hire. He's one of their own, so that could ease it a little bit. I thought that Mark Pope did a really good job at BYU. I like Mark Pope. And yes, it would be a bad look to lose as a 3 seed to the 14 in Troy, but I think any of that criticism, I'm not saying it wouldn't happen, but I think it would be a little bit too premature, especially with the guy that just left. It'd basically be like you repeated the same thing, even though we know what Cal did for recruiting. We know what Cal did winning a national championship. But I would just think that's a little too premature for me. I wouldn't have considered Mark Pope. So it's just fascinating when you ask a question like that and you have someone that obviously that's what makes the world wonderful. When you could ask a question, you could think you know what you're talking about, and then boom, someone gives you a completely different answer that you didn't see coming. All right, Stu, who's yours?
All right, so mine is Hubert Davis.
Ooh.
I think the tough job is already done, right? Like some people said they shouldn't be in the tournament. They made the field of 68.
Yeah.
They won their first 4 games, so now they're in the tournament. 11 seeds win a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think Ole Miss is this world beater. Like, I think they could. There's a world where they could beat Ole Miss. And then you're facing Iowa State or Lipscomb in the next round if you win that game. Like, there's a way that this team can make it to the Sweet 16. And then if that happens, obviously this isn't, Carolina winning championships or getting to the Final Four, which is expectations for them. But I think the chatter of him being fired or being on the hot seat, that's totally gone if they win another game or two in this tournament.
And since 2018, round of 64 results, 1 versus 16 are 22-2. 2 versus 15 are 21-3. 3 versus 14, 22-2. 4 versus 13, 17-7. 5 versus 12, 16-8. 6 versus 11, 12-12. 7 versus 10, 14-9. 8 versus 9, 8-16. All righty. Let's get to the guy with the most to lose. I actually think it's Bruce Pearl, who I love. But Bruce Pearl, we know what he's done at Auburn's been magnificent. The SEC Tournament championships that he's won throughout the years, getting them already to a Final Four. He has already exceeded expectations. But last year, you lose to Yale. I thought they had a team that could go make a deep run. For most of the season this year in college basketball, you've been the most praised team. You've been viewed as the best team. And in the last week and a half, that's changed because you lost 3 out of 4. I think, I don't want to say this is a last chance, but if you don't win now, then when will you win? So that's why I end up putting Bruce Pearl as the most to lose in this NCAA tournament. Samter, who's yours?
Like I said, synergy. So if I'm going to go Mark Pope with the most to gain, my most to lose is Calipari with Arkansas. First of all, even if he wins his first round match, he's likely to play Pitino in the second round, right? He's got Bill Self in the first round, Pitino in the second round.
Be a good
if
Italian
Calipari
feast.
loses in the first or second round again, it's just, like you said, same old for Calipari, right?
Yeah,
He brought all these guys over. He made Arkansas this contender so quickly, and then boom, first, second round loss.
But it's fascinating because, and you're allowed to answer it however you want, the 2 teams that you picked in Kentucky and Arkansas, at least the way that I'm evaluating it, I'm not feeling a lot of pressure on either of those 2 entering the NCAA tournament. That's just me. All righty, Stu, who's yours most to lose?
There's synergy with mine as well.
Ooh, you guys love this synergy stuff today. What are you guys, holding hands behind there?
Something like that.
We love it and synergy and all that stuff?
Not with that jersey he's wearing.
Oh, yeah, that's an ugly Devils jersey. That's true. Should be embarrassed to wear that.
Oh, well, we'll see. Mine is Jon Scheyer. And the reason mine is Jon Scheyer is because you talked about replacing legends, and he hasn't done a bad job replacing Coach K. They're obviously a number 1 seed for a reason, but he has the best player in the world, a generational talent in Cooper Flagg, who looks like he'll be trending towards being healthy. I just think if there's an early upset, if they lose somehow early in this tournament, there's going to be a lot of people calling for his head. So I think they need to make, at the very least, an Elite Eight run, probably at least Final Four. If we're being honest, I think he does have pressure on him. I don't think he's going to get fired, but you'll start hearing the chatter on that.
Yeah, he definitely won't get fired, but there is a Duke standard, and that's to go win national championships. And he's had good teams the last few years, but I think the farthest they've gone is to the Sweet 16. This year, you also have the easiest road out of all the number 1 seeds, and you got to find a way to get to the Final Four. And you got a team that I think is the best team in college basketball in the Duke Blue Devils, and we'll see where the health is of everyone as this continues to move forward. So just give you a few score updates of the game that are going on in play right now. Wisconsin 79, Montana 62 with 2:32 left in half number 2. So in the ball game there, Houston has 14 minutes and 29 seconds remaining. They are up 58-30 up against SIU Edwardsville. Auburn up 19-13 against Alabama State. 10:38 remaining in the first half. And already in the books, we have 2 finals. Purdue taking care of business as a 4 seed up against High Point. No upset this year. They do win the game 75-63. And Creighton handling Louisville, a 9-8 victory in favor of the Blue Jays of Creighton, 89-75. Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. Have the Pittsburgh Steelers lost their way? I'll give you that answer next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's hear from Bill Cowher. He was on the Dan Patrick Show, and he was asked what the Pittsburgh Steelers should do at the quarterback position.
I personally think that Russell Wilson is your best choice. Russell's still out there. You have a chance to get Aaron Rodgers. And can he still throw it? Yes. Is he mobile enough? I think so. But does he really want to play? I mean, the longer you wait, you just have to wonder, where is his heart and how much does he really want to do? And I said, I just think when somebody starts talking about retirement, they've already checked the box. So they've checked out to some degree. And, so how much is he motivated to want to come here and be a part of trying to win a championship and then consequently bridging a bridge to the next guy?
So I understand what Bill Cowher's saying, and I understand that Bill Cowher, right, won a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mike Tomlin has as well. But the way that some people talk about the Steelers, I don't think reflects where they're accurately put in the year of 2025. I heard Cam Hayward the other day, right? We played those comments. Like, we don't need to sell you on the Steelers. You either want to be here or not. I'm like, what am I selling you on? Yeah, sure. It's a gold standard organization in the annals of NFL history, right? It's a top 5 franchise when you look at their name and their fan base and the history associated with it. But this is an organization that I think that the aura of playing for the Steelers has really gone away because they're a good team. You're never going to be bad. Like, you're not going to Pittsburgh and be picking in the top 10 of the draft. Like, you're not going to have 5 wins. You're not going to have 4 wins. But they have, for the last few years, have been in that range of, all right, like a bad season is 9-8. And then there are years where they could go win 11, 12 games. But then come postseason time, that's when they fade. And there have been years where they started the year off undefeated, like 10-0. They look like they're going to be a force, and they can't win a damn game down the stretch. Now, there's been other years where they're 11, 12 wins going into the postseason. And you win 11 or 12 games in this league, you should be able to win a playoff game. And since the 2016 season, that was the last time they won a playoff game, was in 2016. So it has now been a long time since the vaunted Pittsburgh Steelers have won a playoff game. So I understand that, okay, you could say, and I've said it before, the Steelers should have some pride. Like, don't make this be on Aaron Rodgers' terms, but you kind of need Aaron Rodgers. Because either way, if you're bringing Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, the goal isn't to win a Super Bowl. They could say, oh, we're a championship program. We have championship aspirations. But how can you really make that claim and have me believe it when you haven't won a playoff game in a long time? So I look at that team with the defense that is usually great but did not play great last year. So even if they bounce back, your offense, sure, you have DK Metcalf. I don't know what mood George Pickens is going to show up in. You lost Najee Harris, so I know Steelers fans just like to trash Najee Harris. The guy had 4 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons, all right? And that offensive line in Pittsburgh isn't the greatest offensive line that we've seen in the league. So I look at Pittsburgh. The goal for me is to go get a quarterback that puts you in the best position this year to win a playoff game. Because the Steelers should be good, but they're not very good. They're not great. They're not elite. Like a lot of people still talk about them. And yes, it is impressive that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. It is impressive how often Mike Tomlin is in the playoffs. Mike Tomlin is a damn good coach. But 2 things could be true. All those things I just said could be true, and we could also acknowledge, but the Steelers haven't met their expectations, and the Steelers haven't been the team that they should be now for 7 or 8 years. Because it's been a long time since they've won a playoff game. So I don't think the Steelers are in a position really where it's like, oh, Aaron Rodgers shouldn't have to be sold on the Steelers. Now, if it's the Steelers or the Giants and those are the only 2 teams, it shouldn't have to be much of a sell job. That's fair because the Giants suck. And if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're not like if Aaron still thinks that he could win a Super Bowl in this league, with those 2 teams, either the Steelers or the Giants, he's delusional. What do the kids say? Delulu now? He would be Delulu. All right? That's what Aaron Rodgers would be. But the closest thing that Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career could get to winning a Super Bowl without actually winning a Super Bowl, like his version of winning a Super Bowl would be winning a playoff game this year, especially in Pittsburgh. Like, think about how crazy of a statement this is. This organization is tied for the most championships in the history of the league. 6 Super Bowl championships they've won. Now we're saying if they win a playoff game, that would be a massive accomplishment. So the way we talk about the Steelers needs to change, where we could still acknowledge they're good. They're good. But they're in a terrible spot right now. And I know that people will say, oh, I would love to have some of the success that the Steelers have had the last 7-8 years. Like Stu, he would love it, right? But I would argue that it's actually like the worst place to be in. Because you're not great enough where you actually win. You're not great enough where you're going to conference championship games and you're going to Super Bowls, right? You're not in that level. But you're not bad enough where you're in position to pick in the top 5, top 10 of the draft to finally find a replacement for Big Ben Roethlisberger. Like, you're not in that realm. At worst, even if Tomlin has his worst year ever, he's winning 8 games, right? And in most times, he'll go win 9, 10, 11 games, but it doesn't lead to anything. It doesn't lead to anything where you say at the end of the year, oh, that's really successful. I changed the way that I'm going to talk and view the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I just find it fascinating how a lot of analysts and hosts, they just can't call it real with the Steelers. And we look at their history in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, even the 2010. And you look at that and you go, oh, the Steelers, they're great. Oh, Aaron Rodgers should be honored to play for the Steelers. It's like, honestly, Aaron Rodgers, you could argue the Steelers need to sell Aaron on Pittsburgh just as equally as Aaron, right, needs to sell himself to the organization. I think it goes both ways. But because they're grandfathered in, because of the brand, we still view them as a great organization. And when I mean that, because they're run really well. But when I say great organization, I'm talking about a team that's constantly there, constantly wins. And I'm talking going to championship games, going to Super Bowls. And when you haven't won a playoff game since 2016, yeah, the way that we talk about you should be differently. So, honestly, I'm at the point where Aaron Rodgers, and I'm kind of fed up with this. All right, we all know he wants to go to Minnesota. Minnesota's out for now. So, if it's the Giants or the Steelers, I don't think we're going to get a decision anytime soon. Just make a decision, pick one of those teams, or retire. And quite frankly, if Aaron Rodgers retires, we'll talk about it, obviously. Right? We'll look back at his career. We'll have conversations about it. But I don't think I would be bummed out. There are some players when they retire you're bummed out about. Oh, I thought they could go another year or two. If we're talking about maybe you go to Pittsburgh, maybe you make the playoffs, maybe you win one playoff game, or you go to the Giants, you're just chucking it up to Malik Neighbors and hoping to win 6-7 games, both of those are kind of a sad way for Aaron Rodgers' career to end. It really is. And I know there's no perfect ending to a career. Some guys have won championships and rode off into the sunset. That's the perfect ending, but usually those things are fairy tales. But I do think the way we talk about the Steelers, we can acknowledge Tomlin's a good coach. The Steelers still have the great brand, but they need to get back to their winning ways because the standard there has fallen off if we're just accepting what's happening in Pittsburgh. All righty, we'll take a timeout. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We'll get to a news brief next. Ack will get you updated on all the games going on in the NCAA Tournament and more. Here is the Ack Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with their easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressive.com. So far, day one of the tournament, no upsets, and earlier, Creighton's balanced attack led by Jemiah Neal was too much for Louisville.
Baseball pass up the floor, goes to Neal. He's ahead of the field for a right-hand slam. Touchdown, Creighton. It's a career day for Jemiah Neal, who's erupted for 25.
John Sadak on Westwood 1. Jemiah Neal with a career-high 29 and 12 rebounds as Creighton advances presumably to play Auburn. But right now, the Tigers lead Alabama State 29-24. Houston having no problems with SIU Edwardsville in the second half. 70-31. Clemson and McNeese are just underway. And also today, Purdue held off High Point 75-63. Wisconsin, an easy winner today over Montana, 85-66. Also getting underway shortly in about another half hour from now will be VCU and BYU. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Hyundai. The Hyundai Getaway Sales event is going on now. Get deals so right, it almost feels wrong, but don't wait. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. I told you we were becoming TMZ around here when it comes to the overnight position. We saw Hickey was in a tuxedo yesterday, so we threw him right into the spotlight. And today, I was walking around here, and there was a Sheppenwolf that was in the building. David Shepard is here. So you interviewed for the overnight position today?
I did. It's
okay.
Great to be with
How'd
you,
it
by
go?
the way, Zach. It went well. You know, I'm not going to lie, and anyone knows this who does job interviews. You probably haven't done one in forever.
Yeah.
But when you interview, there's always something you feel like you left on the table.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I know Samter and Kovacs haven't interviewed for a long time either. But
That's actually not true. They both have interviewed for jobs.
they're interviewed for the overnight job too.
No, not
Who's
for the overnight.
Who's not interviewed for this job?
Not
Jeez.
for the overnight job, but they have interviewed for other jobs through the years. But anyway, the reason I brought you in is because would you argue you are one of the basketball guys here at the network?
I think so.
Like if I'm saying the strength of David Shepard, not that you can't talk other sports, but your main sport, if I say you got 15 minutes to go get the overnight job, I give you a topic, you would probably go basketball, right?
No, I would want to surprise people.
Okay.
Yeah, because football pays the bills. So
Fair.
I wouldn't go NBA. Yeah, but I could talk NBA till the cows come home, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a player on the Spurs last night
Uh-oh.
that had 34 points.
Yeah.
Now, let's hear this player. He was getting interviewed, and Flava Flav, he crashed the interview. This is courtesy of FanDuel Sports Network.
My family's here. Oh, yeah. My father here, my brother here. It's an unbelievable night. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We love you guys.
Flav, have you ever seen a shooting performance like this before?
Hey, let me tell you something. I don't care what nobody say. My man is on fire.
Flava Flav, Sandro Mamu Kalishvili, everybody give Mamu their flowers tonight. Here or done. Yeah, boy.
Now, Shep put in the headphones, so he was able to hear that audio. I didn't know that they were going to put the name out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, did you have any clue how to say that guy's name before this?
Not a chance. And the embarrassing part about that is I do a show for the NBA channel. And I still
On Sirius, right?
On Sirius, and I had to do that last night.
Oh, it's not an easy name.
I couldn't pronounce it to save my life. And what you even hear even when he was drafted, they just call him Mamu. Now I can tell you his stat line: 34 points, 7 of 7 from 3-point range, 19 minutes. But I can't tell you his last name.
There's too many syllables there to say the whole name. So
Right.
the first name is Sandro, Sandro.
Right.
The last name is spelled Mamukelashvili.
Yeah.
Now, you just heard it said. I'm sure that, right, there's no way to retain that quickly.
Not a chance. I mean, it makes Antetokounmpo seem like Smith.
Yeah. How do you think you would say this?
I have no idea. I mean, I need reading glasses for that.
Oh, you are getting old.
I really am getting old. Mamu Lakalakashpida? Is that how you pronounce it? I'm not even trying to be funny right now. I remember him from his Seton Hall days. That's all I remember about him. I didn't even know he was on the Spurs. Like, when you think Spurs, you think Wemby done for the year. You think De'Aaron Fox done for the year. You don't think of Mamu.
I would say Mamu Kelashvili is how I would. I'm trying to look at Mamu Kelashvili.
By the way, can anyone pronounce the first overall pick from the Hawks? I mean, that's a tough one.
Yes.
I mean, forget it.
So go ahead. We have the pronunciation one more time.
Sandro Mamu Kelashvili.
Mamu Kelashvili. That's up there. You get into the Zach Gelb Show power rankings of names. You know, I loved Giannis Antetokounmpo. There was a guy offensive line, I think it was Halipulivati Vaitai.
It's not bad.
That was up there. And there's a few others
Tua.
through the years.
Tua's the
Tua Tagovailoa.
No, the first name. That's, I mean, you do that. You're a linguistic expert.
No one, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Tua, though, Tagovailoa.
Right.
Because I remember interviewing in Alabama, and I asked him, how do you say your last name correctly? He goes, Tagovailoa.
Right.
And I get so many messages, well, it's not Tagovailoa, it's Tagovailoa. And I go, you're wrong.
If they don't correct you, no one else has the right to insert themselves in the conversation and say, this is how you should pronunciate it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So, anyway, they didn't ask you that. Wait, you're telling me David Mayernick and Ryan Hurley are doing these interviews for the overnight job, and they didn't ask you how to say Sandro Makulashvili or whatever his name is?
For the record, I thought they were perfect in how they handled the interview.
Yeah,
I couldn't say anything. I couldn't say anything more about the way our bosses handle themselves.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, I was not perfect.
suck-up
By the way,
spot here.
I didn't know Bellotti was on the. He's a big part of this too.
Well, he's management.
It was great to see Pete.
Oh, he was in the. Was he? All right. So I knew interviews were going on yesterday.
Yeah.
But I really knew they were going on today because David Mayernick had a very nice shirt.
He looked great, but he's lost a lot of. I mean, he's always looked good, but he's lost a lot of weight too now. I mean, he's really slimmed down.
Yeah, I never thought that David was a big guy, but he eats sardines every day.
Does he?
Oh.
He didn't eat the pizza that was outside in the hallway?
Well, yeah, that's cheap pizza. I'm sorry.
So good.
But, no, that's $1 slice pizza. That pizza's not good.
Yeah, again, when you're overnight hosting, any pizza's good.
I'm going to get everyone pizza next week. We're going to get
Thank
La Industry, Sweet 16. So we're going to do that. But anyway, what I was about to say to you was when you get to that pizza in the hallway, ugh.
I've already had like 3-4 slices.
I'm going to Plug Uglies tonight on the Upper East Side, which used to be Bar Coastal, and their wings are absolutely delicious. But anyway, good to see you. I got to continue with the news brief.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Thank you. It's the Good Shepherd there.
Say hi to Daly for me.
Yeah, TMZ, we will continue. Anytime we see someone walk into that back office, we're bringing them on, and we're talking to them about the overnight position. And so far, Hickey and Shep, 2 for 2. Neither of them embarrassed themselves. You know, I would come in and just say something explosive, really get people talking about you, but away we go. All righty, Rick Pitino, who is your rival?
There's only one coach I really considered a rival in my whole career, and I've been blessed to coach against. I coached against Frank McGuire's last game, coach against Dean Smith. There's only one coach that's ever I had a strong rivalry with, and today I respect him as much as anybody in the game, and that was Jim Calhoun. We hated each other, BU and Northeastern hated each other, and there were 300 people at each arena. He goes on to coach in Connecticut, I go on to coach in Providence, and we hated each other there as well. And today I don't think I respect any coach in the game as much as I respect Jim Calhoun. So looking back on it, it was really funny at that stage of BU versus Northeastern.
You know, you go through some of the most impressive coaches of all time, right? And we talked about Pitino, Dean Smith, John Wooden, Coach K, Roy Williams, Adolph Rupp. Calhoun's definitely in there too. You know, with the way that he made UConn actually a program and made them a blue blood, yeah. I love Calhoun. Have for years, obviously. Darren DeVries, He was actually talking to Indiana during the season. Now he's the new head coach of the Hoosiers.
Yeah, and obviously the process, is the process on how it plays out. And, as you're going through their season, they were, very respectful of making sure that my focus continued to be on our team and certainly appreciated that.
Tampering alert. Like, oh my God, talking to the guy during the season. It just shows you, like, we're so naive. Oh, that just came together out of nowhere. Like, oh, Will Wade and NC State came together out of nowhere. Guy's still coaching in the NCAA Tournament. Darren DeVries, right, gets snubbed the next day. He's the head coach at Indiana. That's the life, though, of college coaching. Here's KCLA News. Najee Harris calls out the Steelers.
It was just a team where, we lost Ben. We lost a lot of the O-line. We just didn't know anything on offense, really. We didn't have identity. We had a young guy coming at quarterback. I was young. The team was young. And I really didn't have nobody to almost learn from the offensive side. I think the veteran guy on that team was like a 2-3 year vet, and that's really nothing. You know what I mean? Like, he's still learning himself, and I'm coming in and I'm just trying to look for people to pick their brain off of, and it was just defensive guys. So I'll go to the defensive guys to talk to them, but it wouldn't be too much they could tell me about an offensive thing. You know what I mean? So through my years, I learned a lot that only I learned firsthand, and I feel like here, we got a lot of veterans that I could learn even more stuff from, and even at the quarterback position and the O-line position, so it was an interesting year there. I'll just say that. Yeah. Interesting year.
I've never heard an athlete just call out an organization in just such a smooth, calm way. There wasn't much animation, and he wasn't very boisterous with those comments. But yeah, the Steelers' offense has been a problem for a while. All righty. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. I'm wearing a Met spring training hat today. The YouTube chat says it's an ugly hat. Do you think this is an ugly hat, Stu? Honest opinion.
I like their new spring training hat. That one just seems like a normal hat. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
right?
think it's ugly. It's like very neutral.
Yeah. Samter, you think this hat's ugly outside of it being a Met hat? I know you're going to make that joke.
I mean, I plead the fifth.
I like the hat. And you know what?
Yeah.
If you two don't like it, that's how I think it's actually a good hat. And same with the YouTube chat. What do they know about fashion? Coming on back, it is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Is this thing on? Buffalo Wild Wings sent us a gift. There's some sort of goggles. And when you put them on, you can't see anything. Like right now, I feel like I'm drunk. And I haven't had a sip of alcohol yet today. I have no clue where I'm at right now. It's completely blurry. I could see myself on one of the cameras, but it is completely blurry. I guess it's halftime of one of these games because I see the studio. I cannot tell you who is in the studio, though. It looks like it's a large fella. Maybe Barkley. But outside of that, like, Samter, I can't even see you. And I know Stu's there, but Stu, I have, if you ask me right now, if we sat someone down and brought someone randomly in the room and said, try to identify who that is, I'd have no damn clue who Stu is right now. Put up some fingers, Samter. Let me see if I can see anything.
This is my cousin Vinny. How many fingers am I holding up now?
Are you flipping me the bird?
I certainly am.
Oh, okay. I can't see that. I just know your sense of humor.
No, I got 4 fingers up.
Yeah, I can't even see.
I got a camera on me. I'm not flipping you the bird.
Oh.
No, I got 4 fingers up right now.
Yeah, I can't see. Stu, put a finger up. I can't even. Stu looks like a blob. I don't even know anything surrounding Stu. You have fingers up, Stu?
I do.
2?
Incorrect. 3.
No, it's just all a guess. I keep on hitting the microphone, too. So what are these, Samter? Go ahead.
Those are the B-Dubs Vision goggles. They are see-through lenses, full 360 view, reflective mirrors, stylish and comfortable. There are multiple mirrors that are adjustable so you can watch games in front of you, to the left of you, behind you. You can catch all the March Madness action all at once. Now, here's the important thing. The goggles that you have on now, the problem is you're sober, right? If you flip them up, you can see. The more you drink, that's when you pop them down because it kind of offsets the blurriness of the actual beer goggles, so they become like reverse beer goggles.
Now I can see you guys because I flipped the goggles up. But if I flip them back down, I can't see anything. So you know what we should try to do here? Do you think I could walk in a straight line if I flip these down?
A straight line, yes, but you're definitely going to walk into something.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I think I could walk in a straight line because I'm not drunk, right? So I know how to walk. But if there's a chair or something, I would definitely fall into the chair.
I feel like we should test this theory out.
Yeah, just the only thing is, would the camera be able to follow me is the question.
Yeah, we can follow you.
Okay.
We have talents.
So let's see. I'm going to try to stand up, and I guess I'll talk very loudly. If there's dead air, let me know.
I can also
honestly,
do a play-by-play.
I'm trying to stand up. I don't want to hit anything.
All right, now he's standing up very gingerly. Okay, he already bumped into his own chair. I mean, he stood up and immediately walked into his own chair. There is something in front of him that he does not see coming. He doesn't know when it's going to come. And right into another chair. There he goes. Down goes Zach. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach Gelb has walked into a chair and almost knocked over a computer. He's coming back, I think. Now, the question is whether he's going to be able to find his chair and sit down without falling on his keister. All right, he's looking. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't recommend wearing these goggles unless you've had a few drinks, because right now Zach is having trouble fitting his way back into his chair. Oh, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, he's back. Zach Gelb, welcome back.
I've never felt more lost in my life, if I'm just being honest. Also, when my butt was facing the camera, I thought of doing the Randy Moss, the despicable act. Back at Lambeau Field all those years ago.
Well, the funny thing is, your butt at no point was facing the camera. That's how blind you were with those glasses on.
Oh, really?
Yep. At no point was your butt facing the camera.
This is crazy. This is what Stu probably feels like on a Saturday night, honestly.
Oh, man.
These are wild. I look stupid here. But when you put them down, you really can't see crap.
Listen, you might be stupid, but if you had 4 games at once, you'd be able to catch them all at the same time.
So I'm going out to where Plug Uglies tonight. Imagine if I put these on and just walk into the bar with these goggles on.
You'll be the center of attention.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. I got to take these things off. This actually gives you a headache. So, there we go. These are crazy. Absolutely crazy. So someone sent these to you from Buffalo Wild Wings?
We got those sent over. It was actually Hank, who is the Buffalo at Buffalo Wild Wings. He's a good friend of mine. We go way back.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was the Buffalo?
Yeah, you've seen the commercials with Hank, the Buffalo who sits at the bar.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, me and Hank go way back. Hank wears those because, Buffaloes don't have great vision, and I think that helps him out.
Oh, my God. I actually have a headache now. I don't know what. When you take away one of my senses, I think all my senses just go.
Usually it's the opposite. You take away one sense, and
you think you have a heightened awareness.
No,
yeah,
not you.
I couldn't hear. I couldn't speak. I couldn't smell.
You thought your butt was facing the camera?
I literally, I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm mooning the camera right now. And there was, so you could see that objects are coming, but you don't know what the object is. So I'm not kidding. My right knee, I hit so I knew that there was a monitor right there, the call screener, but there's a table on that holds up the call screener. I banged my knee into that little table, and you know what? I may need to call out the rest of the day. I may need to do that. So anyway, this could be the most interesting thing someone has ever sent to me, if I'm being honest. I don't get the point of it. I really don't.
I mean, the point is, if you can see through the lenses, you have mirrors so you can see every game at once.
You can't see through the lenses.
It's details.
It's physically, do me a favor. Can you come in here, Samter? Samter, come in here. Let's see what ends up happening. Two-Tone Tourney is right. I could get some workers' comp out of this. Let's just put Samter real quickly, put the goggles on, and see if you could walk back to where you just came from. So Samter has the goggles on. Hold on. How many fingers am I holding up? You have no clue.
7.
Oh, I only have one hand up, so it can't be 7.
That's
now,
weird.
Now try to turn back around. Samter has the goggles. You actually look pretty good in these.
All right, I'll be honest. As
So-
I face this way, which I think is the door,
Yeah.
there's a light directly in my eyes, and I think I'm blind now.
Okay, just try to walk. I'll give you like a warning sign if you're really going to hurt yourself. So Samter's walking pretty straight. There's a chair right there. Samter hit the chair, and now he's fallen back
Straight ahead.
because it's the update anchor's chair. All right, he is past the chair. Now trying to see Samter open up the door here. Oh, my God. He's going for the thermostat and the lights in the studio. All right, he has the door open, and now we're going to see if he could walk back. Now, Stu, I need you on the play-by-play here real quickly. Is he close to getting back into the studio? Because now I can't see. He's now back in the studio.
He has made it in the studio.
You know, I think Santos enjoyed a few nights out, some late
Yeah,
nights, and he's had a
pretty
few
good at this.
drinks.
He's good at
He's
this.
a good drunk here. He's much better at walking than I am at this. And here we go. Samter's at the chair. The chair's bigger than him, so he should be able to sit down in it. That'll be fine. And he just fell.
No, he fell.
Down goes Samter. He fell trying to get in the chair because that's a big jump up for Samter to get back into the chair. All right, he has the chair. He still can't back his butt up into the chair. He just can't do it. He is touching the microphone. Don't touch the dump button because we don't want to delay anything. Will he? He just hit the microphone.
with the
All you have to do is just jump up into the chair backwards. Yeah, like if Saquon Barkley could hurdle someone backwards, you can't. There we go. He's in the chair. Now, Stu, do you want to try these goggles?
Yeah, sure. I'm down.
All right. Give the goggles to Stu. Let's see if Stu can walk into the room and give me a high five. So we're going to see. So Stu has to take off his regular glasses like I did. Stu now has on the Buffalo Wild Wing. What are these, sports goggles? What's the wording of this?
Vision goggles.
All right,
He's putting them on upside down and backwards.
Yeah.
You told me. Oh.
You put that.
Now we're getting a Samter Stu fight. We say that this is just another day that ends in Y. All right, here comes Stu. He can't see. We may break the board, and then we'll be done as a network, potentially. That would be some way to go. So Stu is walking in a putrid red Devils jersey. He is past Samter. All righty, he's past Samter. Now he's got to locate the door. This is going to be difficult. I think he's located the door a little bit too early. Everyone's going for the thermostat here. So he's at the thermostat. All right, Stu has the door open. I think Stu is the best person to see out of these goggles compared to Samter and I because he's moving at a crazy pace. Now, Stu is about to hit the other door. He has pushed the other door open. Now, Stu has to walk over to me and give me a high five. Now, this could be the tricky part. Stu is at an electric pace right now. He is like the Usain Bolt of these goggles right now. Stu is about to crash into Axe Update chair. He has hit the chair. All right, he has now gone past the chair. Now, can Stu locate my hand and give me a high five? See, it's so funny because I can see you. Like, I see your eyes. He did it! He did it! Boom! Onions! Double sauteed! Nice job there by Stu. All righty. You know what? I think we need to call somebody else in here. What about our boss, David Mayernick? Let's see if we can get Mayernick if he's not doing, imagine. Oh, here's David Mayernick right on cue. Hold on, David. Let's have David go in that room. Have David sit where Stu is. So let's put Mayernick, our boss. By the way, can we put David Mayernick on a microphone real quickly? Can David hear me? I know he doesn't have any headphones in right now. Well, let's see if we get our boss. No, I still can't hear David. Let's see. You know, it's been a long time. Mayernick now, a big-time boss since he's had to run a board. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. How the interview's been going for the overnight position, by the way?
Interviews have been going great. We've had a really good time. You know, lots of good questions, lots of good responses, back and forth. It's been a good process.
All righty. So this is David Mayernick. He's our boss. I won't be too much of a jackass. But, David, take off your regular glasses right now. We are going to put the Buffalo Wild Wing goggles on David Mayernick. David, what you need to do is walk out of that room, walk through this door in the studio, and give me a high five.
Understood.
How quickly do you think you could do this in. Stu, we should have timed Stu. Stu did it at a record pace.
Well, you know, it's funny, Zach, as I saw Mikey come by with the glasses a couple days ago, and it looked like Walleye from Hot Shots. Do you remember the Jon Scheyer character?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
100%.
So, I don't think this is going to go well for me, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I see. Here's the thing. I don't want David to get injured. You know, I've had other bosses that maybe I would want them to get injured, but David's not a boss that I would like to get injured.
Thanks, Zach.
And I could just see David face planting here.
All right, let's do it.
So I know your wife. If your wife is listening, I'm very sorry that we're making David do this. So David, when the goggles go on and he takes his first step, I will start the clock. All right, the goggles are on. We're off and running. Here comes David. He's walked past Samter, or he's coming right around the turn on the corner of Samter. David smacked his own butt because I think he felt Samter smack his butt too. David is already at the door of the studio. He is now in our studio. Now, this is the tricky part. He is walking. Can I point to you? Yeah, you can point to me. You may not be pointing in the right direction. All righty. Here comes David. Oh, this is where it could get tricky. Let's see. Oh, he slapped my hand. Oh, my God. 33 seconds. David Mayernick. See, this is where I think we may need to bring somebody else in. Because Mayernick is our boss. Oh, wait, David really can't see because he's trying to get out and he's struggling to get out. David, though, knows every square foot of this studio. So let's try one more person. There's someone I went to college with, and he is now working here, Greg Frank. Greg Frank is in the newsroom. Can we get Greg Frank into Stu, and let's see if he could find a way to get in here. So David's going to get Greg Frank. People are asking me, who's the boss that you didn't like? It's none of my bosses that were ever here. I've actually liked all my bosses that have ever been here. So now the YouTube chat is...
very political.
No, that's the truth. I love Chernoff, I love Spike, and I love Ryan Hurley and David Mayernick. I have had no issues with anybody here. So Greg Frank, go there. Greg Frank, I want you to go where Stu is. So Greg Frank is a college buddy of mine. I think I hired him at the student radio station that we did work in. And Greg Frank is going to put on these goggles. Have Greg sit down. Don't put on the goggles yet, Greg. Let's have Greg sit down in Stu's chair without the goggles on. Now, this could get very interesting. And Greg Frank, people don't know this about him. He once won, or he got screwed out of a competitive eating contest. Quickly, can we get Greg's microphone on? I think, Greg, this could be a good test if he knows how to actually work the board here at the Infinity Sports Network. There you are. Hello, Greg. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
So I'm doing fantastic. Quickly, give us like the Spark Notes version. You were at Cherry Hill East High School, correct?
Yeah.
And there was a wing competition?
It was my sophomore year.
Yeah. And you got kicked out of the wing competition, correct?
Yes.
So explain the story how.
So there was a senior who was the favorite to win the event.
Yeah.
And he was a standout wrestler.
Oh.
So he had to make weight.
Okay.
So he was fasting all day.
Oh, so he couldn't eat the wings.
Well, the event was after his meet.
Oh, okay.
So the wrestling meet gets delayed, and then they delay the start of the event for him to show up.
Okay.
So the first round was divided into 2 heats.
Okay.
15 and 15. I'm in the first heat. He, of course, is in the second heat because he was
on the wrestling team. Yeah.
I dominate the first round.
Are you out of breath, by the way?
I had a... no, I'm fine.
You seem very tired right
Okay. No. I dominate the first round.
Yeah.
Huge lead. After both heats, he's late for his second heat. So I'm thinking, like, okay, like he's not going to show up and I'm going to win.
Okay.
Shows up right before the second round starts. And then the student government president who runs the event, like, polls the audience. Do we let him in? Like, what do we do? He's a senior, standout wrestler.
Got the popular vote.
Popular guy, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm in the lineup. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Of course they let him in. Changes my strategy. I vomited in the semifinals.
Oh.
Yeah. And
you got disqualified?
I got disqualified.
And he won?
and he won.
That's a great injustice, by the way.
It sure is.
It's a terrible injustice.
Been telling the story for 15 years now.
Yeah. So anyway, Greg, you should tell that story when you're out at parties. I think it would work out well.
Oh, yeah, that will do great with the women.
Yeah. Anyway, we have these goggles. You can't really see with these goggles. Santer has done this. Stu has done this. David Meredith has done this. I believe either you're going to do this successfully or you're going to get injured.
Okay.
One or the other.
Not
we'll see what happens.
Middle ground there.
So we're going to put these goggles on, and you have to get up, walk out of that studio, walk into my studio, and you have to give me a high five. So the moment when Mr. Frank gets these goggles on and takes the first step, we will start the clock. And Greg is off and running. Greg is off. Oh, Santer. Oh, he just hit the chair. He hit the chair. I was like, Santer moved out of the way as if like the building was on fire, and Greg hit the chair. The door's open. The goggles just got smacked by the door for a second. Greg has found the studio door. He's 19 seconds in. Now, this is the tricky part because Greg is in the studio. He just hit Maggie Gray's baseball jersey, and Greg is going for the high five. He's trying to give me a high five. All you got to do is get the hand. All you got to do is get the hand. And he got the hand. He got the hand. He got the hand, and I'm getting assaulted right now. So there we go.
I'm not injured.
Yes, you're not injured. Well, try to get out of the room. Okay. Wait, hold on. You're about to hit something. 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 Oh, watch out. You're about to hit something. Greg is out of the building. All right. We will take a break. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. 18 minutes on goggles. Hey, by the way, Auburn is up 47-33 up against Alabama State. Oh, actually, Stu, can I get my Bill Raftery onions thing, and I'll do all the scores real quickly. Onions! All righty, we'll give you the NCAA Tournament update. McNeese is up right now, up against Clemson in the opening round of the NCAA Tournament. At halftime, McNeese is blowing out Clemson 31-13. Will Wade hasn't left yet, even though he's going to NC State. A phenomenal performance so far by McNeese. We'll see if they can hold on in the second half. BYU early, 13:34 left in the first half. They're up 14-12 up against VCU. Auburn 47, Alabama State 36, with 17:27 to go in the first half. And we already have finals. Houston destroyed SIU Edwardsville 78-40. Wisconsin 85, Montana 66. Purdue 75, High Point 63. Creighton 89, Louisville 75. And with the latest Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash, I'm Zach Gelb.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You know what? I just realized what I thought I looked like when I was wearing those Buffalo Wild Wings glasses. And the person I thought I looked like, Stu, I know we talked about Adam Sandler a week or two ago with Happy Gilmore 2 coming on out. Have you seen most of these Sandler movies or no?
No, I've seen Happy Gilmore, the original, but a lot of Sandler movies probably not.
Did you see Mr. Deeds?
No.
Oh, my God. You need to watch Mr. Deeds. Mr. Deeds is a good movie.
There's a laundry list of movies I've been told I have to see.
Yeah, but like what? The ones that Bill Ryder used to tell you about, forget about it.
Yeah. You know? Well, Ack yesterday has been...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, tell me to watch Goodfellas.
Oh, okay. Spider. But anyway, Mr. Deeds is an awesome movie. It's like a funny movie. So Steve Buscemi is in Mr. Deeds, and he plays this character, Crazy Eyes. And I thought I looked like Crazy Eyes when I was wearing those Buffalo Wild Wings glasses. So that's what I ended up thinking. Samter, you're a big Mr. Deeds fan, right? If memory serves me right.
I sure am.
Okay, you look like you're like a little like frazzled after everyone just came into the studio.
No, I'm fine
you
with
still don't
that.
have the goggles on. You know that, right?
I was trying to decide if I love Mr. Deeds or not, but yeah, it's very funny.
Oh, is that a controversial take for you?
It's not controversial, but like I don't know if I have it in my top 5 Sandler movies.
Oh, okay.
It's close.
For me, it is.
It's like it's top 7 for sure.
Yeah, no, I think it's an awesome.
There is a point where Mr. Deeds owns the Jets and punches the Jets quarterback in the face, and then the quarterback's dad calls him to apologize.
Yeah. No, Daddy,
weird.
No!
No, Daddy!
Because the dad then starts beating up the quarterback with a belt. Some movie.
Yeah.
Also, the Blackfoot in there with the pond, and then, I like to change your socks, Mr. Deeds.
I also remember the Jets quarterback saying that he was the best quarterback in the NFL and he threw for over 3,000 yards. Wow.
How times have changed.
Times have changed.
Now you'd be a bum with a capital B. Anyway, I want to get back into the NCAA tournament. So, Stu, you are a Duke fan, correct? Is that right?
No, that is not true.
Oh, I've been told wrong information?
Yes, which is shocking from the source you probably got it from.
Who do you think the source is?
His first name starts with an A and last name is Gallo.
Oh, no. I think Hickey actually told me you were a Duke
Oh, because he got it from him. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When I was younger, I liked Jay Williams and JJ Redick. So when I was like 7, 8, 9 years old, I was a Duke fan.
Okay.
I am not a Duke fan these days. I'm a Rider fan, which is not great in its own right because that's where I went to school, but I'm not a Duke fan.
So Jay Williams, do you still like him?
I liked him as a player. I'm not the biggest fan of him as like a announcer or commentator.
And JJ Redick, do you still like him even though he coaches your Lakers right now?
I do. I think he's done a good job.
He's done a good job.
Yeah, he's done better than I thought he would.
He's still pretentious, but he actually turns out to be a good basketball coach.
I'm not here with a Cooper Flag jersey, carrying pom-poms around, rooting for Duke to win the title.
Now, my team is down and out, the great team that I rooted for. But you look at the allegations of Stu just jumping ship from bandwagon to bandwagon. Lakers, Yankees, Duke, Notre Dame football.
Yeah, this is what I was worried about.
This is not a good look for you. At least you got the Raiders in there.
Yeah,
you got a crappy team in there. And the Devils they won a bunch of championships way back then.
When I was like 4.
Yeah, they'd have like the parade in like a parking lot and 8 people would show up. But anyway, do you think Duke is hated entering this NCAA tournament? Yes or no?
No, definitely not as much as they used to be.
Samter, do you still think there's a hatred for Duke entering the NCAA tournament?
Yes, but to Stu's point, it's not nearly as bad as it used to be.
So I remember, right, obviously, when Coach K walked away and he was on the run to the Final Four, Duke ends up losing to UNC. And you had like people that were so excited that weren't Duke or UNC fans, right? Leading into that game. And a lot of the excitement was, oh, this is going to be a perfect way for the nail to go into the coffin on the career of Mike Krzyzewski. And I'm like, man, I thought that was just like really rotten. And like Hickey, he hated Duke. And I go, why do you hate Duke? It's not like Penn State plays in the ACC and he goes, they're just insufferable. But now with Jon Scheyer as the coach, I get it. They have Cooper Flag, and we'll see, if he's going to be able to play and how long he's going to be able to play. And I think Duke is going to find a way to win it all. But I don't think there is a level of animosity still with Duke where anywhere close to what it used to be, right? And you go through in all those years, like you think of people that hate Duke. Who are the first 2 names you mentioned? Christian Laettner and Mike Krzyzewski, and recently, in this last run of things, Grayson Allen. People couldn't stand Grayson Allen. But now, like, I look at Duke, and I don't have any hatred for Duke. Quite frankly, I just respected Krzyzewski when he was there, but I understood why people hated him. But now going into this tournament with Coach K not there, I don't think Duke is a villain like they used to be. Still a great school, still a great basketball program, right? Jon Scheyer, if they don't get to the Final Four, it's an absolute joke. But I don't feel as if there's this national level of hatred still with Duke. And I know people will call me like, oh, I can't stand Duke, blah, blah, blah. But I don't feel like the way that it used to be, Samter, when we take a look back with Krzyzewski being there.
The interesting thing is, I guess there are certain people who hated Coach K, but I don't think that people hated Duke because of Coach K. They hated Duke because of of kind of, I guess, what they represented, almost like this elitist kind of group of people at a very high level school. Laettner and Bobby Hurley and Redick and Grayson Allen and these guys. But I don't think that Coach K was hated. So I don't think changing from Coach K to Scheyer changes whether or not they're hated or not.
Oh, I think a lot of people hated Coach K. Like, I respected Coach K. I know Samter is on his Coach K push because he had a little texting conversation with him last week.
Dream come true.
Yeah. So Samter, you could Coach K could walk into this room right now and smack Ack in the face, and Samter would be like, "Oh, Coach K is the greatest person in the world."
But that's the thing is, I never liked Duke, but I always loved Coach K. Like, I don't know, and I could be wrong. But
I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah.
I never hated Duke, and I never hated Coach K. But like Hickey had no reason to hate Duke, had no reason to hate Coach K, and he would that was a big fight we got in. I go, it's fake outrage. Like, you're just jumping on the bandwagon with everybody else to hate someone. I'm like, what are you actually hating Coach K about? That he just wins so much? So let's ask Ack this, because Ack's a UNC fan.
If he hits me, I'm hitting him back.
Oh, really? You're going to hit a senior citizen? That's not nice.
Hey, he drew first.
Yeah. Do you hate Coach K?
I wouldn't say hate. I'd say dislike, but respect very highly.
Okay. Why do you dislike him?
You know what? It's more. Well, it's very layered. Number one is obviously the success is a part of it. But it's the way, they claim, and look, I can't fault them for this, but it's the way they claim their territory. Duke is a little different. They're sort of like or at least when the run started with the Christian Laettner, and even though Bobby Hurley is from blue-collar Jersey City, they were sort of like the preppy with the collar up.
Okay.
So they're a very easy team to dislike. Now, the one thing I'll say in Coach K's favor, which to me is why.
Well, you could be the Duke of Update anchors. Yeah. You got your collar up a lot these days.
Yeah. Well, that's because of anger. But he. Unlike John Wooden, and this is certainly no disrespect to John Wooden, but Mike Krzyzewski changed incredibly with the times. He started from building a team, and then in the late 90s when he had William Avery and Elton Brand, he let those guys go, and he started, he was able to really start the one and done, or win with a roster and a lot of turnover. And you look at the way he won over all the decades, it's pretty remarkable. Not only did he win, but the way he won, changing, I don't know if you want to call it philosophy, but the way he built his roster.
So let me then also just follow up and ask you this, and this is sort of in the same conversation, but it has to do with the Duke hatred. I opened up the show saying that even though Rick Pitino is already a top 5 college basketball coach of all time, I was making the argument he actually has the most to gain in this NCAA tournament, because when you look at
three different schools winning it all, sure.
You look at the greatest coaches of all time in
One's
college.
Wiped out, but that's besides.
But we acknowledge it.
Yes.
We look at the greatest coaches of all time, right? You got Pitino, you got Wooden, you got Dean Smith, you got Coach K. I would throw Calhoun in that conversation. You got Adolph Rupp, like just some of the legendary coaches that we've ever seen. If Pitino could win 3 national championships at 3 different schools, and also has a Final Four at Providence, I wonder how then people are how far they're gonna move him up. And the way that I said it would, for me, he would be the most impressive college basketball coach of all time. And I know, I think I know exactly what you're going to argue, so I'll let you do that right now.
He is a phenomenal coach. Make no mistake about that. But there is a reason why he is at St. John's now. I don't take that away from him either. But he, as I just said about Coach K, is also remarkable in the fact that he has changed his philosophy in the way he does things. So when he first got to Providence and took them to the Final Four, he was the first to really adopt the three-point shot. Obviously, he won with stars at Kentucky. He had, look, Donovan Mitchell's a pro and is a great pro. But for the most part, he had guys that were very, very good, if you will, program players at Louisville. So he won in different decades with different, he won with different teams in different decades in different ways. And now he's totally embraced the portal, and he calls it like it is. Hey, I'm not recruiting high school kids, and I don't have to go into anybody's living room. Here's the check. Let's go and play.
Right now, who's the most impressive college basketball coach that you've ever seen?
Coach K. I was
more so than Wooden.
Well, I was alive for Wooden, but really I was 7 when he retired. So, Dean Smith would have to be there, but again, just the way, Dean Smith was also part of a time, and certainly no disrespect to the guy. That's the reason I'm a North Carolina fan. But he did his thing his way, which I totally respect. But at a time when the game didn't change as much, he did change the game by integrating not only North Carolina, but the ACC, getting Charles Scott. But, Coach K over time has been able to roll with the punches and a very big changing landscape.
And it would be crazy because you look at the years that he won the national championships, Tito, 96, 2013. If he's able to do one here in 2025, it's like 3 completely different eras. Like
absolutely.
You could put Pitino anywhere, and he could go find a way to win basketball games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
put him in Greece, he could find a way to do
I
so.
will go back, and not to put myself into this, but I will go back to 1984, and he came to my camp to do a clinic.
Really?
Yeah, and it was the greatest thing I've ever seen. And he was an assistant coach for the Knicks at the time. And I'm just basically sitting there with my mouth open, and I said, I can't believe, And he took a guy, we had a counselor by the name of Ron Cavanaugh, who wound up playing for the Knicks in the 1984-85 season.
What kind of camp was this?
85-86, actually. It was a sports camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Ron Cavanaugh was 7 feet tall, and he put him under the basket with his arm up. And he said, you won't be able to block my shot. And Pitino is getting these shots off, and like Cavanaugh is just so frustrated. The things he did in the clinic, and I remember when Providence hired him, and based on what I saw that day, I'm like, boy, they just made a great choice. And 2 years later, they were in the Final Four.
And by the way, I know we were talking about Will Wade going to NC State. How about what McNeese is doing right now to Clemson?
I thought when he
the
said
opposite
that,
effect of what we all thought was going to happen.
He was totally candid and totally open, and I guess the players are okay with it.
31-15 right now.
Yeah, Clemson just looks very tight for whatever reason. I don't know. It's like you want to say the alarm didn't go off, but they didn't exactly have the first game of the day. So I don't know what's going on there because look, this is a team that's very, very good, but not today.
All righty, we'll take a timeout. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network will come on back, and we'll get to the biggest questions that remain in the NFL offseason. Update time. Here is the Ack Band, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, we haven't had an upset yet, but we're certainly working on one, or I should say McNeese is. Early second half, and they lead Clemson 31-15 in this one. What a first half it was for Brandon Murray, who outscored Clemson by himself 14-13. Meanwhile, top-seeded Auburn, after a slow start, leads Alabama State in the second 58-40. A good one between VCU and BYU thus far. Just over 6 minutes left in the first half. They're even at 24. Gonzaga and Georgia are underway with the Bulldogs in front by a score of 6-0. Earlier today, the first game of the day was a good one in Lexington, where Creighton overcame the quote-unquote hometown crowd as Louisville playing in state, and the Blue Jays advance 89-75 behind Jemiah Neal's career-high 29 points. They will face Auburn next. Purdue getting past High Point 75-63, and Wisconsin an easy winner over Montana 85-66. Houston knocked off SIU Edwardsville easily 78-40. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
We'll do a little football in just a second, but Stu, give me my NCAA Tournament sounder, please. Alrighty, day one of the NCAA Tournament and the games that actually matter, not the first four. Auburn is up 65-46 up against Alabama State. As long as Auburn holds on here with 8:50 remaining in the game, they will advance, and they'll go up against Creighton, who earlier in the day defeated Louisville 89-75. Purdue did beat High Point 75-63. Wisconsin rolled Montana 85-66, and Houston stomped SIU Edwardsville 78-40. And going on right now, McNeese picking up where they left off, half number 2. They're up 40-18 over Clemson. That's a 12-5 matchup. BYU, VCU, a good one. 3:49 remaining in the first half. BYU is up 29-26 over VCU. Gonzaga out of the gate early, up 15-2 up against Georgia in an 8-9 matchup. Gonzaga with 15-13 remaining in the first half. And that's what we got cooking right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Still to come, by the way. Wofford, Tennessee, Arkansas, Kansas, Yale, Texas A&M, Drake, Missouri, Utah State, UCLA, Omaha, St. John's, UC San Diego, Michigan, and UNC Wilmington and Texas Tech. Now, the tip-offs for some of these games tonight. St. John's in Providence, Rhode Island, scheduled at 9:45 p.m. Oh, my God, that game won't start till 10. And Michigan, UC San Diego. That's in Denver. So that's 8 locally in Denver, 10 here on the East Coast. And in Kansas, you have UNC, Wilmington, Texas Tech. Now, Kansas is, an hour behind us or 2 hours behind us? I forget exactly. But that's not scheduled to tip off until 10 p.m. Eastern time. Go be a late night tonight. Tell you, I'll be sleeping in tomorrow as we'll be recovering from all the college basketball. Anyway, Samter's got some questions for me that he wants answered, as we have a lot of the offseason already in the books, but still some big questions remaining. So Samter will give me the question. I'll give you what the answer is. Go ahead, Moist Mike.
All right, so the biggest questions remaining in the NFL offseason, simply this is coming up here in April. Who's going to draft Cam Ward?
I think it's going to be Tennessee. I do. I think Tennessee's going to take Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to give up enough to move up from 3 to 1, which makes Tennessee move off that number 1 pick. So the Tennessee Titans are going to be getting Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami.
Now, this is probably the biggest question remaining. Where will Aaron Rodgers sign, or will he retire?
Ayahuasca Aaron is going to go to Pittsburgh. He's going to be the next quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they will not go to the Super Bowl. But Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wouldn't be surprised. I heard Diana Rossini. She was on with Dan Patrick this morning, and she still thinks he's going to wind up with the Vikings. So I threw that theory out there with the wording of Pelissero. Maybe the price will get so low that Minnesota will just say yes. But I still believe that Rodgers is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think he'll be their quarterback this upcoming season.
Now, we saw Stephon Diggs bring back all of his images of the Bills back onto social media. Where do you think he ends up?
I think he's going to the AFC East, but I think he's going to my New England Patriots.
He's visiting with them this week, I think.
Yeah, and I think it was yesterday.
There we go.
But Stephon Diggs, here's why I think he's going to the Patriots. Money, targets, winning. Those are 3 things that receivers look for. And there's a priority order. And for Stephon Diggs, I think it's going to be targets, money, winning in terms of most important to least important. So the Patriots are not great for winning right now. But Stephon Diggs, even coming off the injury, would without a doubt be their best receiver. And also, the Patriots have been willing to offer a lot of cash to these wide receivers. Just no one has taken a bite out of the Patriots' apple. So I think Stephon Diggs actually will wind up with the New England Patriots.
Now we saw the Bears revamp their entire O-line, replacing 3 of the 5 starters. What do you think they're going to do in the draft?
I would say, if he's available, Ashton Genty, running back, Boise State. If Genty isn't available, I could then see them getting another weapon for Caleb Williams by the name of Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end. But right now, I would say Ashton Genty, the running back out of Boise State, going to be going to the Windy City.
All right, we got Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, 2 amazing candidates there for the Colts QB job. Who wins it?
Anthony Richardson's going to win it, but then he's going to lose it by November. So Daniel Jones will eventually be starting games for the Indianapolis Colts, but Anthony Richardson will win the job.
All right, but what's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson? That is the biggest remaining player who's still on a team who might not be on that team after he requested the trade.
I actually like that you haven't heard anything since the T. Higgins and Jamar Chase stuff. Now, I know that, right, there's been that report that they're working to iron out a new deal. Like that, to me, you'll know by the draft. If they don't trade him by the draft, then what's the point of trading him afterwards? Now, he could continue to say, oh, he's not going to play, stuff like that. You still have him under contract. I think they will find a way to alter the contract. It's not going to be exactly what he wants, but they'll be able to sweeten the pot enough to delay Trey Hendrickson leaving the Cincinnati Bengals for another year.
All right, and last one. Where will Shedeur Sanders end up?
Why'd you say it like you were like my grandfather?
Shedeur Sanders.
I think he is going to be with the Cleveland Browns. I think the Cleveland Browns, we're going to go. I'm back on the quarterback train, Stu. 1-2 quarterbacks in the draft. Shedeur going to Cleveland 2nd overall. Cam Ward going number 1 overall to Tennessee.
Did you see who the Browns are also interested in and have mutual interest with?
Oh, a quarterback.
A quarterback.
Yes. His career came and went. Carson Wentz. If is this just the offseason like Mac Jones signing with the Niners? They wanted to draft him. They didn't do so. There was a thought that they were going to draft Carson Wentz in Cleveland. If now he goes to Cleveland, geez Louise.
And the Jets were almost going to take Justin Fields over Zach Wilson, number 2.
Yeah.
So there we go.
A bunch of rejects getting their chances year later.
Could you imagine the Browns going into the season with Kenny Pickett and Carson Wentz as their top quarterbacks?
Well, I'm a Kenny Pickett stan, so.
Oh, that's true.
You know,
and Chris in California.
I'm not going to say anything negatively about my guy Kenny Pickett or Chris's guy Kenny Pickett, who may be Kenny Pickett, but we don't know. I was thinking of Mount Rushmore for Duke hatred, right? Because we were talking about that. And I don't hate Duke, but if I did hate Duke, it would be Leitner, J.J. Redick, who I can't stand. Leitner, J.J. Redick, Grayson Allen, and then I think that a lot of people would put Coach K on there too. So I think those would be the 4 names for Mount Rushmore if you're trying to make the statue and create it on Duke hatred. All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Auburn 68-47 up against Alabama State. I think the story of the day right now, the 2 biggest takeaways of this tourney so far for me, is just how easily Creighton beat Louisville, 89-75. That's going to set up a matchup in all likelihood, Creighton and Auburn. Auburn could be on upset alert come Saturday. But right now, it's the Will Wade story. And we'll see if they can hold on. But McNeese is up over Clemson, 45-24. And remember, Will Wade's going to be the next coach at NC State. So 12:05 remaining in that first half, in the second half in the ball game, as we're locked into day 1 of the NCAA tournament.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
It's early. I'm not an impatient person, but we are looking for our first moment of the NCAA tournament so far. Creighton beat Louisville 89-75. Nice win, but it was 8-9. Purdue survived High Point 75-63. Wisconsin blew out Montana 85-66. Houston, they just destroyed SIU Edwardsville 78-40. And right now we have 4 games going on. Gonzaga is dominating Georgia right out of the gate, 27-5. So that could set up a fun second round matchup when you take a look at the Bulldogs of Gonzaga, because a big part of that was, okay, Houston, I said the road was so easy, but maybe their toughest opponent could be Gonzaga, even though I picked Georgia. Not a great pick there. Tennessee also thrown in that conversation too. But you look at the 4 number 1 seeds in the tourney. Like Auburn-Creighton is going to be, I think, a phenomenal round of 32 game. That actually feels like a Sweet 16 game. If you say Auburn-Creighton, 2 months ago as you meet up at the NCAA tournament, I'd say a Sweet 16 probably. So you're going to get that in the round of 32. Other potential 1-8-9 matchups. Florida, assuming they get through, will get the winner of UConn and Oklahoma. Duke gets the winner of Mississippi State and Baylor. But you look at it, what is brewing here, I think you circle Auburn and Creighton, and you also circle Houston and Georgia. And quite frankly, if UConn beats Oklahoma, then you will get some intrigue, even though Florida right now is playing like they're the best team in the country because of what Hurley has done the last 2 years heading into before this with the back-to-back national champs. So everyone talked about before this tournament, including yours truly, we get 4 1 seeds in the Final Four. These number 1 seeds, Duke's not going to have to sweat. Houston's not going to have to sweat. Even early on, and there's still a lot more to happen, there are some potential matchups brewing in the round of 32 where you will have my attention, and you will definitely have my interest. Now, Auburn, they are 4 minutes and 20 seconds away from getting that date with Creighton, as they're up 74-53. So barring a epic collapse, Auburn's going to be off to the round of 32. McNeese is still shredding Clemson. They have been even in the second half at 16 apiece, but that game is 47-29 in favor of McNeese over Clemson. So that's the first big moment If McNeese holds on here in the final 9 minutes and 23 seconds, that's the first big moment of this NCAA tournament. A 12 beating a 5, but not only a 12 beating a 5, it's this Will Wade story. How Will Wade is at McNeese, but we know he took the NC State job. So how far is he going to be able to go in this NCAA tournament? And some people had Clemson as a trendy pick. I had them going to the Sweet 16 before losing to Houston. But Clemson, McNeese, Purdue, High Point, that was the opening round matchup. Purdue already beat High Point. So whoever wins Clemson, McNeese will be going up against Purdue in the round of 32. So McNeese is starting to become the star of the NCAA tournament, up 48-29 now with 9:16 remaining in the first half. And BYU, they pulled away a little bit. And we were talking about this Fanta the other day, how I like this BYU team. BYU game far from over, but they have pulled away a little bit up against VCU. It's 39-28 going into halftime, and Gonzaga is now up 30-10 up against Georgia. The night games, which, you start to look at the night games at 6:50 p.m. Eastern time. I'm actually really curious about this. So I'm going to this place in the city that used to be called Bar Coastal. Rothstein loves it. And now it's called Plug Uglies. I don't know what went down, but Bar Coastal shut down. I was devastated. They opened it back up. I don't know why. I'm talking, by the way, with my ID in hand right now to scan into the studio. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing today. I put those Buffalo Wild Wing goggles on, and I think I'm actually drunk. But anyway, I'm going right after the show ends in 55 minutes uptown, like all the way. I think it's like on 80-something or 70-something, something like that. So I'm going uptown, and Plug Uglies is basically what Bar Coastal used to be with the same exact menu, and they have delicious wings. They have these Kerry's Ways wings. They are just a phenomenal sauce, like a yellowy, orangey sauce. They're spicy. They're good. They come with tremendous waffle fries. But I don't know how popular that place is, even though it was booming when it was Bar Coastal, but now it's Plug Uglies. And I don't know what the appetite is for the NCAA tournament in New York City. Now, St. John's is in the picture, but they don't play till 10 o'clock tonight. So I'm going like 6 of my buddies, Stu, but they don't take reservations for the NCAA tournament, so it's walk-in only. So they're expecting probably a big crowd. I'm hoping since we'll all get there at 6:30 and the night window doesn't start till 6:50 p.m. Eastern time, that will be okay, but I don't have a damn clue what to expect. And I'm really craving these wings. I had a healthy lunch today, and I want to pig out. I want to eat wings because that's what men do during the NCAA tournament is hang out with their buddies, eat wings, and lose a bunch of money. I mean, try to win a bunch of money. And I'm going to be very disappointed if I get there and they're like, it's like a 2-hour wait. So I may be out of luck here.
Yeah, it's like 4. That's like 4 blocks where I used to live, by the way, too. Yeah. It's funny. As soon as I moved in, Bar Coastal went away. So maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the one to blame for that.
Yeah, something had to happen behind the scenes because it's literally the same menu, just under a different name. So maybe they had a partner or something, and they just pushed the partner out, and then Plug Uglies is somewhere else in the city, and then maybe they find a way to make that work.
I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be okay.
See, Stu,
you might have to wait a tiny bit.
You're
to get
also
a table.
optimistic. Now, this is what happens. If I have to wait like an hour and a half, I'm going to be texting you now.
Yes.
Like, you jinxed me. You mushed me here. But anyway, the night window games tonight, you have Wofford, Tennessee, Arkansas, Kansas. That's a big draw tonight. Now, I don't have much expectations for Arkansas or Kansas, but you got Calipari going up against Bill Self. Tremendous coaching matchup. We'll see if Yale could pull off the upset 2 years in a row. You have Yale, Texas A&M. Drake, Missouri, I think is going to be a fun game. Utah State, UCLA. St. John's, Omaha. You got Michigan, UC, San Diego State. See, the spread's funky here. Michigan is a 2.5-point favorite. This screams to me, upset alert. But I didn't pick it because there's certain upsets that happen that everyone tells you the upset's going to happen. And I don't like when everyone starts to get trendy on an upset. But this line only being 2.5 for Michigan, who's not this great team, but they did win the Big Ten Conference Tournament Championship, in which was one of the ugliest games I've ever seen, Michigan and Wisconsin. That was not pretty on the eyes. But you have UC San Diego up against Michigan. That spread just seems criminally low. So I'm intrigued by that to see if the hype is going to be met with UC San Diego. And you got Texas Tech, UNC, Wilmington. That game is tipping off here on the East Coast at 10:10 p.m. Eastern time. So the biggest moment so far this NCAA tournament is McNeese right now, who are, just shredding Clemson. This is now 51-29. So the early leader in the clubhouse for the biggest upset through the opening rounds of the NCAA tournament, and the game's not even over yet, is McNeese. All righty, let's do this right now. Some coaches that have accomplished things in the NFL that you're wondering, can they win a Super Bowl with their current group? And how long the leash is for these coaches. You have Kyle Shanahan, who's been to 2 Super Bowls, hasn't got the job done in either one of them. Sean McDermott, who has now been to 2 AFC championship games? Yeah, 2 AFC championship games. Mike Tomlin won a Super Bowl, but with this current group, they haven't won a playoff game since the 2016 season, and obviously a lot has changed. John Harbaugh, also another guy, won a Super Bowl, but in the Lamar Jackson era, the farthest they've ever gone was to the AFC Championship, and they lost at home. Zach Taylor got to a Super Bowl, didn't get the job done up against the Rams. And then you have Todd Bowles, who replaced Bruce Arians, had that 1 year with Brady, Brady's final year. Then Brady retires, and I thought the Bucs were going to fall off. But to their credit, they got the right replacement in there in Baker Mayfield, who's been a very good quarterback and an underappreciated quarterback. And Mike Evans continues to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. They've been able to keep Chris Godwin now, even though he's dealt with a bunch of injuries. And they lost some players on defense, but that team continuously makes the postseason. And, they win that division, which is not a good division. So I look at those coaches. Are any in danger of getting fired? And I look at it, if I had to pick one, and let's go around the room here. You could give me the same answer if you want. I'm just curious who you think the leader is in the clubhouse of getting fired. And I know that Harbaugh and Tomlin are a little bit different because they've at least won a Super Bowl. But in these last 6-7 year time frame, not all these coaches have been coaching that long. Who is the coach that has had a little bit of a run that you think is the closest to getting fired? Kyle Shanahan, Sean McDermott, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Zach Taylor, and Todd Bowles. I don't think we're missing anyone here. Like Mike McDaniel hasn't had a long enough run where you ever looked at them as a threat. I do think he's on the hot seat entering this season. Stefanski, they were 3-14 last year. I know he's won the Coach of the Year 2 times, so we're going to keep him out of that. Shane Steichen hasn't had enough success in Indianapolis. Outside of that, the Cowboys just had a coaching change. Dan Quinn only a year in with the Commanders. I'm not going to put LaFleur in that boat yet. O'Connell, we got to see what he looks like with McCarthy. Dan Campbell's a god in Detroit. Yeah, so I think we hit the right coaches that are in that realm. So between Shanahan, McDermott, Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Zach Taylor, and Todd Bowles, Stu, who's the coach there that you think is his seat is the warmest and closest to getting fired?
I think it's Kyle Shanahan. If they don't make the playoffs this year, I think he is out.
Wow. Can you imagine if Shanahan became available? Because he would get a job tomorrow. If he got fired today, he would get a job tomorrow. That's a fascinating answer. I will reserve my answer after I hear what Samter has to say. Who's your coach here, Samter, that you think is the closest to getting fired?
I think all of them, their seats are kind of getting a little toasty, but I think the guy who actually has a chance of getting fired, like the Steelers aren't going to fire Tomlin. Harbaugh has done enough in the regular season, and he has a Super Bowl. McDermott, again, same thing. Like, he's got that team, like, rolling, even though they're not getting postseason success. Zach Taylor, outside of that Super Bowl run, where he was great, he had the leading passer, the leading receiver, and the leading sacker last year, and they finished with, 5 wins? 9 wins. But they missed the playoffs, right? This is a team that, with the talent they have, I understand there's been injuries, but they have underachieved significantly over the past couple of years.
Here's the question, though. With the Bengals, they allowed Marvin Lewis to be the coach there for all those years. And Marvin Lewis, to be fair, the way we talk about him is a little disrespectful because he was a good coach. But he didn't win one postseason game there. And they kept him around forever. Zach Taylor, he got to a Super Bowl. So I wonder how much leeway that does give him. Now, Zach Taylor's contract, I'm looking up right now. It says here that he's under contract through 2026. So the notion, if that hasn't been adjusted since December 1st of 2024, which I think we're in the clear on that, if that hasn't been adjusted in the last few months, that's even for the Bengals with the cheap tag. That's not that crazy if you have to eat a year of salary, like if it doesn't go well this year. So I'm looking at this. I think the two coaches who are closest to getting fired, even if Shanahan misses the playoffs this year, I don't think they're going to get rid of him. Because if you get rid of Shanahan, I think you have to get rid of Lynch, and that's a really good 1-2 punch. McDermott, it has been made abundantly clear. The Bills are not even close to thinking about him, moving on with him as their head coach. Tomlin, the Steelers have basically had three coaches. Noel, Cowher, Tomlin. This guy hasn't won a playoff game since 2016, and there is not a peep inside the organization about getting rid of him. The only one I've ever heard say fire John Harbaugh is Hickey. All right? I don't think Harbaugh's anywhere close. I think the two guys that are closest to getting fired are Zach Taylor and Todd Bowles. And quite frankly, I think that Todd Bowles is not appreciated by the fan base in Tampa Bay. I don't think he's this marvelous coach, but what he's done the last 2 years without Tom Brady, and also got two coaches hired on his staff. Canales, head coach, was on Bowles' staff. Liam Cohen, head coach, was on Bowles' staff. You know, Liam Cohen was like beloved in Tampa Bay. When they brought him back, there was some thought, if Todd Bowles doesn't make the playoffs or if they go out quickly in the postseason, maybe they have Liam Cohen as the head coach. I don't think Todd Bowles' personality, because he's a very boring guy. And I love him, right? He's a Temple guy. And he was very kind to me, and I've talked to him a bunch through the years. I like Todd Bowles. But he doesn't have this great personality. And I think it's easy to move off of a guy of Todd Bowles. But what he's done the last 2 years, whether you want to give him the credit or not, if they missed the playoffs this year, I think it'd be ridiculous if they got rid of Todd Bowles. But I do think it's a possibility just because I don't think people look at him as this big name. And I think people think they could do a lot better than Todd Bowles. But I'm with Samter on Zach Taylor. Now, I know what I brought up with Marvin Lewis, but Zach Taylor, if they start off poor this year, I'm sorry, this is on the coach. I understand. Say what you want. I know we all love Burrow. Jamar Chase is a stud. We'll see if Trey Hendrickson is there. If you kept T. Higgins, if you start off poorly this year, that's inexcusable. It's okay if it happens 1 year. It's okay if it happens 2 years. It can't happen 3 years. And you have a team the last 2 years that has missed the postseason. And to what Samter said, they had the leading passer, the leading touchdown passer as well, yards and passing touchdowns, a receiver win the Triple Crown, and had the leading sack getter in the league. And you couldn't make the playoffs. And why didn't you make the playoffs? 2 years ago, chalk up the injury. Last year, why did you not make the playoffs? Everyone can say, the defense sucked. Defense was horrible. But you lost to the Patriots in week 1. The Patriots sucked last year. And you lost to them in week 1. Those slow starts, you could sometimes survive them. But when you don't survive them and you get close at the end of the year and you're sitting there saying, if we would have just tried the first week or two of the season, that's when it becomes a problem. So I think that there is a chance, and that would be even though the Bengals organization has a terrible, terrible perception. You're telling me if a coach becomes available and you could go coach Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, you're not running at that opportunity? There's guys in their jobs right now that will leave their current jobs to go be the next head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, for example, it would never happen because the Steelers wouldn't allow it. But if you ask Mike Tomlin, would you rather be the coach of the Steelers or the Bengals right now? Think about the world that we live in right now. If I'm Mike Tomlin, you easily rather be the coach of the Bengals. You have a quarterback. You don't have a quarterback in Pittsburgh. You go through some of these other teams, like Kyle Shanahan. Would you rather coach Brock Purdy or would you rather coach Joe Burrow? I'm just going through some of those teams. So I'm with Samter. I would say that Zach Taylor's seat is the warmest entering this season out of those coaches. Kyle Shanahan, Sean McDermott, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Zach Taylor, and Todd Bowles. Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. We will once again tell you what's brewing in the NCAA Tournament between the 3 games that are going on right now. We did have a final since our last update. That's Auburn. So that sets up Auburn-Creighton. I think that's going to be a phenomenal round of 32 matchup. Auburn beat Alabama State by 20 points, 83-63. Other finals from today, Houston 78, SIU Edwardsville 40. Wisconsin, the Badgers, they eat up Montana 85-66. Purdue rolls through High Point 75-63. And Creighton, unbelievable shooting performance, 89-75 over Louisville. And the 3 games in action right now, the story of the day. And this one, it's getting a little tighter. So you still got a game, 6:04 remaining. But it's McNeese 51, Clemson 38. So Clemson starting to go on a little bit of a run. We'll see if they can come back and get this victory in the final 6 minutes. But right now, they are down to McNeese, 51-38 with 6:04 remaining in the contest. We're still at halftime between BYU and VCU in a 6-11 matchup. BYU, the Cougars, are up 39-28 over Virginia Commonwealth University. And Georgia, I didn't know if they were going to get on the board. Well, they're on the board, but they're still trailing big to Gonzaga as Gonzaga's up with 5:08 remaining in the first half, 37-21. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, it is the Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We have a update on Stefon Diggs, according to Jordan Schultz, which, you know what? I have to be fair here. I think Schultz is rising as an insider. You know, I would say up until, like, if you asked me before the Combine, who are your top NFL insiders that you see something and you don't doubt it? I would say Schefter in no order. Schefter, Glazer, Pelissero, Rappaport. Right? That's the core four. Schefter, Glazer, Pelissero, Rappaport. Where without a doubt, you don't question it. We have gone from the core four to the Fab Five, I think, of insiders. Because Jordan Schultz had the T. Higgins story with Jamar Chase. They told him. And now, Stefon Diggs, according to Jordan Schultz, has left the Patriots building without a deal, but both sides will remain in contact. Schultz, he's rising. I still don't think he's on the level of Schefter and Rappaport and Glazer and Pelissero, but he keeps on getting these Schultz scoops. He does. So I'm back into the Jordan Schultz insider stuff. I thought the fight was fun. I did like it. It was entertaining. And Jordan, right, he has been at this for a while now. But Jordan Schultz, he got the sources now. He's got the scoops. So Stefon Diggs has left the Patriots without a deal. And both sides will stay in contact. All righty, Stu. This is NFL Top 10 Mock Draft version 4.0. And today I will take the odds, and you will take the evens. So we start off with the Tennessee Titans. We have projected before a trade here, Giants and Tennessee. I am going to say Tennessee keeps the pick, and they take Cam Ward, quarterback, out of Miami. Now, just before we did this segment, I saw Adam Schefter was on the ESPN, and Adam Schefter was saying that the Cleveland Browns would really like to get Cam Ward. When you talk to people around the league, the sense is that Cleveland would like Cam Ward. Can Cleveland do enough to get up to that number one overall pick? We'll have to wait and see. But for now, I have Tennessee taking Cam Ward.
All right, at number 2, Cleveland Browns. I know we kind of go back and forth on whether they'll take a quarterback or not. I am now in the camp of that they will not take a quarterback.
Ooh.
I am veering away from Schefter's original report. And I think they will go Abdul Carter. I think they will pair Carter with Garrett.
Bitch.
It'll be
Come on, Stu!
It'll be Garrett and Carter on the edges. They'll try to build up that defensive line.
So you think they could still draft Carter even though they just paid Myles Garrett and they would bypass on Travis Hunter?
I do. It'd be between those two players, but yes, I think they could do that.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping that Cam Ward goes 1, and then the Browns take Shedeur Sanders 2. Because then I think the Giants would take Travis Hunter 3, and I want a way for Abdul Carter to fall 4 to the Patriots because I think Abdul Carter is the best player in the draft. Also, if he goes to my team, I could go troll Warren Sapp and get the Patriot Abdul Carter jersey, which I would not be doing if he was on any other team in the NFL. So I could dislike Stu's pick, but I have to accept it for what the results are. So 1, Cam Ward to Tennessee. Cleveland, number 2, Abdul Carter. Then the Giants are sitting there at 3. I don't think they're getting Aaron Rodgers, so this sets up perfectly for the Giants and Joe Schoen. They could go get Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, Colorado. And then the Patriots are in there at 4 still.
Yeah, so I still think this kind of ends up well for you. Like, if you don't get Abdul Carter, I think Travis Hunter is the guy that could really help the Patriots. Now, is he a cornerback or receiver or both? That is the question. But I think as a receiver, that's kind of what you want for Drake May. And I think if Travis Hunter's there, I think the Patriots would snatch him right up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people say Travis Hunter corner first, then wide receiver. If he goes to New England, you have Christian Gonzalez, you have Carlton Davis. Maybe they go more wide receiver over defensive back for Travis Hunter. All righty. I sit here with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I look at the Jaguars, and I said they could use an offensive lineman, but I'm going to say they go defense. They beef up the interior of that defensive line. I'm going to say they take Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. So Jacksonville taking Mason Graham with the 5th overall pick. And Stu, here come your Raiders. Now, this is a terrible scenario for you. Here's why.
Yes, this is probably, I would say, this is the least ideal scenario.
No quarterback, no Abdul Carter, no Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think you're ever thinking that Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter are going to be available at 6, so it's really no quarterback being there.
Yeah.
What do you got?
So, yeah, I am between a few players here. Tate Tyroa McMillan, the receiver out of Arizona. He's someone that has been mocked to the Raiders a bit. They could go offensive line. But there has been a kind of a push lately, especially in a lot of mock drafts and in the Twitterverse of the Raiders.
The Raiders Reddit world, too?
The Reddit world as well, that they could go running back and they could go Ashton Genty here. So I think it is very high for a running back. I'm not sure I endorse them picking a running back this high with all their needs. But I think Ashton Genty with this scenario would end up on the Raiders.
Okay. So then that puts the Jets in at 7. The Jets, I think they have enough on their defense. Could they go for an offensive lineman? That's a possibility here. But I think the Jets are going to go for a little playmaker here. Last year I thought maybe the Jets would draft Brock Bowers. They didn't. This year I don't think they're going to pass up on the tight end again. I'm saying the Jets take Tyler Warren, tight end, out of Penn State. So far, Cam Ward to Tennessee had the odd picks. Stu is the evens. Abdul Carter to Cleveland. Giants take Shedeur. New England takes Travis Hunter. Jacksonville with Mason Graham. Ashton Genty to the Raiders. And then Tyler Warren to the JTS Jets. Now the Carolina Panthers are sitting there with the 8th overall pick, and we go back to Stuart Kovacs.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways they could go here. I think they could go playmaker. They could go McMillan from Arizona to kind of give Bryce Young a little weapon. But I think they will go defense, and I think they will go with one of the Georgia, edge rushers, defensive linemen. I will go Jalen Walker here for the Panthers to kind of bolster that defense.
Okay, I like that pick. Who dat say they're going to beat them Saints? The Saints are now on the clock. Now, I was thinking offensive lineman, but they've invested in the draft on that offensive line. Neither of us have picked an offensive lineman yet, which is very surprising. I'm going to go back to the well here, though, on the defensive side of the ball. So Jalen Walker is off the board, right?
Yes.
Abdul Carter is off the board. And then also Travis Hunter, if you want to identify him as a defensive player too, off the board with Mason Graham.
Yes.
Man, this is tough. I'm telling you, this mock draft played out very fascinating. I'll go the linebacker out of Alabama, Jahad Campbell. I wanted to take a defensive back there, but I'm not going to do so that early with the Saints. So I'm taking Jahad Campbell out of Alabama in at number 9.
Okay, so for the Bears here, I know they've beefed up their offensive line with free agent signings and trades so far, but I think if Will Campbell is there at 10,
gotta take
you have to take Will Campbell. So I think for me, the Bears, I think that might be one of the easier picks here. Will Campbell at 10 to Chicago.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm the Bears, you've done enough on the offensive line where if there's a player there that you feel like you have to have, I'm good with taking it. For example, if Ashton Genty's here, take him over a lineman. If Tyler Warren is here, take him over the lineman. But to your point, Stu, they've revamped their offensive line, right? They brought in Dahlman, they brought in Jonah Jackson, and they've also brought in Joe Tourney. And, right, Joe Tooney's very accomplished, Dahlman very accomplished. Dahlman with Ben Johnson has worked in the past. But how many years have we heard a team say they've revamped their offensive line and the line still stinks? We've seen it with the Jets, we've seen it with the Giants, we've seen it with the Bengals. So, offensive linemen are like starting pitchers in baseball. You can't have enough of them. So that's why I still thought, maybe the Saints would go there, but then I ended up flipping the script on the defensive side of the ball. And, I did see, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah who had Jahad Campbell mocked to the Saints, and that's where it's kind of stood out to me. So that was on my mind there when I was looking for a defensive player. So that's the top 10 version 4.0. Cam Ward to Tennessee, Abdul Carter to Cleveland, John Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter going to New England, Jacksonville taking Mason Graham, Las Vegas going with Ashton Genty, the New York Jets, Tyler Warren, Carolina go with Jalen Walker, Saints, Jahad Campbell, and then Chicago with Will Campbell. So version 4.0 of the mock draft. Got one more segment to play. Come on back. Channel NCAA Tournament. Update time first, though. Here is the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
We're about a minute and a half away from another 5-12 upset. Clemson, which had as bad a first half as you can get, trying to rally, but time certainly a factor as the Tigers trail McNeese 62-53 with a minute and a half left. BYU handling VCU well, leading 54-39 in the second, and Gonzaga all over Georgia at the half, 48-27. Earlier today was Creighton over Louisville, 89-75, as Jemiah Neal poured in a career-high 29 for the Blue Jays. Also, Purdue topped High Point 75-63. Wisconsin, a winner over Montana easily, 85-66. And top-seeded Houston, a winner over SIU Edwardsville in a rout 78-40, while Auburn shook off a shaky start to defeat Alabama State by 20, 83-63. And getting underway shortly will be Wofford in Tennessee in about an hour from now. And Cooper Flagg has been given clearance to play tomorrow for the Blue Devils in their first-round game. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God. We're back again.
All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. The NCAA Tournament right now. See, I know what I'm going to have to say. I'm going to come in tomorrow, and this always happens, and it's going to be totally not true. And this is me being impatient right now. And I'm usually not impatient. Ho-hum, though, so far, this NCAA tournament. Like, I expect to tune in right away. Instant buzzer beater. Ooh, onions. Right? Something crazy to happen. And so far through the afternoon window, the only bonkers thing to happen is McNeese and Clemson right now. And this game is not over yet, but it is 67-62 in favor of McNeese, and 67-62 with 19 seconds left. Now, Stu, do we know what channel True TV is here in terms in our Fakakta TV setup? Because I would like to turn that game on.
54.
54, thank you. So I just had to go one channel up because I was on BYU VCU. So it's 67-62 in favor of McNeese with 19.9 seconds remaining. But, like, when I think of the NCAA tournament, and I always love being on the air for the NCAA tournament. You know, when I was on the 6 to 10 p.m. shift, when you get those night games, like you're talking directly with the coaches after the game, and you get the reaction, like you're going nuts and doing all that stuff. But in this shift, I remember doing it last year from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. There were some really good games where you're like, oh, here comes a game winner, bang! And you lose your mind and you have some fun. But if McNeese doesn't miss this free throw here, yeah, this game, you know, I'm not going to say it's over. 68-62 with 18 seconds left. Barring a catastrophic collapse here by McNeese, then there is no way they're going to lose this game. And now, hold on. I just mushed it. I can't do play-by-play, so I'll wait a second. Clemson just hit what is called a three-pointer. So now it's 68-65, McNeese up against Clemson. So there's really only two ways McNeese could choke this. With 10.6 seconds left. They turn the ball over, or they go to the free throw stripe and they don't hit their free throws. Now, both teams are in the double bonus. So when McNeese gets the line, they're going to get 2 free throws either way. So McNeese has actually taken all their players not underneath the basket where the free throws are for at least the first free throw. McNeese hits it. It's 69-65. Once again, I can't do play-by-play, so I'm not doing play-by-play. All right? Anywho, this is now back up to a 4-point game. So you got a 4-point game. McNeese misses a free throw. So 4-point game here with under 10 seconds to go. If Clemson doesn't hit a 3 here, this baby is over. They miss. Get a rebound, don't matter. It's over. That may have counted at the horn. It doesn't. Yep, it did. 69-67. The first stunner of the NCAA tournament. McNeese defeats Clemson 69-67. So good job there by McNeese getting the job done. McNeese, the first big upset of the NCAA tournament. So here are your finals so far from today. McNeese 69, Clemson 67. You've had also Houston just smother SIU Edwardsville. Back to what a 116 should be. 78-40. Auburn smothered Alabama State 83-63. That sets up a second round matchup of the round of 32, which is becoming one of my favorites. In Creighton and Louisville, 89-75. Creighton beat Louisville, so that's Auburn and Creighton coming up on Saturday. Wisconsin, they just rolled Montana 85-66. Purdue, it was a little bit back and forth there. That game was a good game. And then Purdue just flexed their muscles at the end. They won the game 75-63. And you have 2 other games going on right now. Like what I'm seeing out of BYU. They're a big, right now, it's not crazy, but up 60-47 up against VCU. And at the half, Gonzaga just destroying Georgia 48-27. So they are now reviewing if this shot at the end did occur. I don't know exactly what the spread was, but McNeese won. So underdog plus the points. I don't know what the exact spread here was, but that could be a point of interest for some people. And let's see, I think it did count. So yeah, 69-67. So McNeese is through, and they're going to be playing in Providence on Saturday up against Purdue. So McNeese-Purdue is that matchup there. A lot of people have the McNeese and High Point both advance. Only McNeese advance. We do not see High Point advance as they did lose to Purdue earlier. And there's Will Wade. Will Wade. It's kind of funny to me because he's leaving. And he's losing his mind right now. But that's the sport. Oh, this is actually pretty cool. Will Wade is jumping up and down like a fat kid in a candy store. He is now running over. It's got to be friends and family, boosters, donors. He's probably like, hey, got some money for NC State. What are we doing there? But Will Wade is now in the stands going nuts with the McNeese fan base. That's a cool moment. And you know what? You know what this moment shows with Will Wade? We all know it's a business, right? This is a business. The players now legally get paid. The coach gets paid. Will Wade is a phenomenal coach. You may not love Will Wade the person, but Will Wade is a phenomenal coach. And we all know what happened, and that's their first NCAA tournament win in program history for McNeese. So that's cool. We all know Will Wade, investigation, LSU. He's out of a job. He then has to go coach at McNeese. No disrespect to McNeese. Will Wade is a much better coach than the school where he's currently at. The NC State stuff goes down. And I think there was a big tone yesterday from people that were like, oh, this kind of sucks for the kids. But Luke Hancock, I give him credit, right, who transferred back in the day when it was like not the easiest to transfer. George Mason, Louisville, won the outstanding player of the NCAA tournament that they won at all Louisville, I think back in 2013. And Luke joined us the other day, and he was like, you know what? It doesn't really bother me. Because not all those kids are going to go to McNeese. Not all those coaches are going to go to McNeese. Not all those staff members. The kid that walks in with the boombox, I'm sure he'll be going there. I don't know if he's a student or whatever, but that introduction is awesome. And that kid has aura. That kid right there that's on the screen right now, Stu. I don't know what manager or whatever. He's been all over social media. So you have Will Wade getting a better job. Yeah, there it is. I just showed the boombox. That's awesome. So he got a better job, and I can't crush him for leaving. Is it like a little rotten that he's still coaching, that it all came out before the NCAA tournament? Sure, but he was honest about it yesterday. Like, they asked him about it, and he goes, yeah, I talked to them. So we know that he's going to be the next coach of NC State. Will Wade, quite frankly, deserves a better job. I think he deserves a better job than NC State. But now he's going to be the coach at NC State. And it's cool where even if there was some talk yesterday, and Ack and I had this conversation, like, isn't it unfortunate for the kids? And then when Luke Hancock came on the show, he kind of opened my mind to it, that it's just kind of the nature of the sport now. For players, for coaches, for everybody. So let's treat them all the same. But if you had any negative feelings yesterday about Will Wade and how this did go down with NC State, guy just won McNeese their first ever NCAA tournament game. So can you really crush the guy? Can you really crush the guy who deserves a bigger job, getting the bigger job, taking the bigger job in a forever changing landscape in college basketball with the portal and just how sports are right now? So the coach took a bigger job. Didn't impact his coaching today, clearly, because they got out to a great start, got a little bit tight late, and still were able to take care of business up against Clemson. But through what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games so far, where 2 are in final, where BYU is now up 62 to 50 up against VCU, and Gonzaga, they're still at halftime crushing Georgia 48 to 27. Through the first 8 games of this NCAA tournament, McNeese is the story. Will Wade is the story. And could there be something that usurps the Will Wade storyline tonight in the nightcap? If Wofford beats Tennessee, yeah, duh. Arkansas, Kansas, no. If Yale beats A&M, yes. Drake beating Missouri, I don't think is better than what McNeese just did to Clemson. Utah State, UCLA, no, because it's 10-7. If Omaha beats St. John's, that's the story tomorrow. But does anyone actually think St. John's is going to lose to Omaha? Watch. That will be on Old Takes Exposed. Later tonight when St. John's loses. I don't think they will. UC San Diego could be bigger than McNeese beating Clemson if they beat Michigan. But honestly, I would actually say McNeese beating Clemson is probably bigger because I've seen more people predict UC San Diego taking care of business up against Michigan. And obviously, if you see a 14 seed in UNC Wilmington beat Texas Tech, that's a huge story. But through the first 8 games of the tournament, the biggest moment so far is Will Wade of McNeese getting that program their first ever NCAA tournament victory, as they did take care of business today, winning by 2 points up against Clemson. So we will see. We shall see what ends up happening with the rest of the tournament today. Hey, by the way, I got to get back to something real quickly about Shep when he joined us earlier. Because Hickey interviewed for the overnight job. We berated him with questions yesterday. We did the same with Shep. Hickey wore a tux. Shep basically wore like a pullover, like a sweater. Do we have any problem with the attire of David Shepard still?
Not at all. People here have gone jobs and they have not dressed up, so
okay.
Don't think it
Samter,
matters.
did you think maybe Shep dropped the ball here?
100%.
Really?
Yeah, you don't have to wear a tux. That was a little bit over the top by Hickey, but it's memorable.
You thought he just looked disheveled?
But you got to do more than like a quarter zip workout shirt.
I think that's kind of the brand of Shep. I think it's fine. I have no when it comes to radio, any other job, sure. But when it comes to radio, I don't think it matters for 1 second what you wear to the interview. Now, Hickey made it shtick. But if Hickey seriously wore a tuxedo to the interview, then that would be a problem. But he made it shtick, so that was good. But Shep walking in like he was ready to go coach a JV basketball team, I had no problem with that either. All righty, fun show today. Big thanks to Samter and Stu, Ack. I guess we'll throw Greg Frank in there as well with those Buffalo Wild Wing goggles. And we'll be back tomorrow on a Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. We'll talk to you tomorrow, everybody. This is the Zach Gelb Show. You can always follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. Chat manana, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.